Maybe not. We're going to talk all about it today on the Midday Show. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. We are joined today for all 4 hours by Bill Colarulo. Bill, how you doing today?
What's up, my brother? I'm doing great. You just said it. Can it get better as a Philadelphia sports fan on this Friday morning, man?
It's not bad. And it started yesterday afternoon with your Fighting Phils. They get you a shutout win, 2 shutouts in Cincinnati, another great starting pitching performance. And then it carries on last night and all the things that happened there. And you and I watched the Sixers together down at the Wells Fargo Center as they make it 2-1, go again on Sunday. So we're going to get into all those stories, but we can't get into them unless we look at the front page first.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
That's right, your Philadelphia 76ers. They get you a Game 3 win. 125-114 over those hated New York Knicks. Yeah, there was a lot of Knicks fans down there last night. Now, I was listening to some people talk about, it was like 50-50. I would probably go like 65-35, maybe 70-30. The Knicks fans that were there were boisterous. But, no, when push came to shove, there was one time when Jalen Brunson went to the foul line, and they started chanting MVP, and the Sixers fans just totally drowned it out. I thought there was going to be a New York Knicks fan presence, and there was. And if you hadn't seen it before, it was surprising. Them nonetheless. And I have some stories about what some Knicks fans did last night, a couple of incidents which were, that's the way it is. 2-1 now, that series. 70 points in the second half. Yeah, he gave up 70 in the second half, 43 in the third quarter. Joel Embiid, of course, 50-point game on just 19 shots. And I turned yesterday to Bill. I think he had like 40-some, and I said, is it possible to have like a quiet 40-some point game? Because Embiid was fantastic. But, yeah, the guy's so good, he's kind of had a quieter 50 points. Tyrese Maxey goes for 25. Joel Embiid also went 41 minutes last night. To see. Kelly Oubre comes up with 15, something that a lot of people were asking for, the side pieces, so to say. Campaign, 11 points in 16 minutes, a lot of fun there. The Sixers, 41 for 75 from the floor, 55%, and 15 for 31, 48% from 3. They also went to the foul line 33 times. Thibodeau a little bit later because he cried about it. Oh, my God, they went to the foul line times. Jalen Brunson, he had 39 points on 13 of 27 shooting, 13 assists. Sixers, 36-32 rebounding advantage. You got to love that because we know that was hurting them early in the series. Game 4, Sunday, 1 p.m., Wells Fargo Center. And Joel Embiid, after his performance, had this to say about it.
I don't know. I just love playing the game. I just want to be on the floor as much as possible. I want to play as much as possible. I only got about maybe, 8 years left. So I got to take as much, got to enjoy it as much as possible. And, I want to win.
Love it. Absolutely love it. He also let it be known that he's suffering from some Bell's palsy in his face. And we talked about it so much about what the hell is going on with that eye, and it looks so weird. And I feel bad. I feel bad for the guy. We'll get into it a little bit later, a quote that he had about how he's starting to get frustrated with all these injuries. Certainly understandable in that. And the Bell's palsy thing, my God. Like, what more does this guy have to deal with? And the fact that he's going out and getting 50 points going on, very strange. But good on him last night. Sixers again, 1 o'clock at the Wells Fargo Center for Game 4 on Sunday. Your Philadelphia Eagles. Now, it worked out perfectly for us last night, Bill, as we watched the game. Game gets over. You go down to go do post-game. I was killing some time, let the traffic clear out, and we got to sit there and watch them take the number 22, and it turns out to be Toledo's Quinyon Mitchell, corner, who many wanted them to get, thought they would have to move up to 16 to get him maybe, but they didn't. They stood pat at 6 foot 195. He ran a 4.33 40. Here's a description of him that I love that I read this morning. Built like a running back, tackles like a safety, ball skills of a cornerback. He has outstanding burst to close on wide receivers. In the draft as a whole, quarterbacks went 1, 2, and 3. 6 of them, like Bill called for earlier in the week, 6 of them went in the top 12 picks. First 14 picks, I've never seen anything like this. First 14 picks were all offensive players. Eagles also make news. You know why, Bill? You had the Sixers in a big playoff game last night. So the Eagles are like, oh, no. We need to be in the news more. Forget just having a draft pick. No, we're going to extend A.J. Brown. So they do that. They sign him through 2029. Now they have 2 receivers. Devontae Smith is signed through 2028. Now A.J. Brown through 2029. Draft continues today with the Eagles picking at number 50 and number 53. We'll see if Howie stays put or if he's got some moving going on. Your Phillies, as I said earlier, they won 5-0 yesterday in Cincinnati. Zach Wheeler, 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, 8 strikeouts, no earned runs. I'll give you the numbers later. This starting pitching for the Phillies has been unbelievable for about 11, 12 games now. I'll give you those numbers with a sub-1 ERA. Just absolutely incredible. Bryce Harper hits a home run. First game back from daddy duty. He gets into it with some fans, and then he blasts one and says, yeah, how about that? So he's got the dad strength going. They're at San Diego tonight, 9:40 start. Aaron Nola on the mound. They improve to 16-10. All right, I'll take that after 26 games, 16-10. All good there. So there's your front page stuff. I want to let you know that, as you know, Ray Dunn is done. He left us. He's, he decided to take a long weekend. Most of us go down the shore. He went out west. He just said, I'm going to fly to San Diego. So we have Tom Alvord in here today. So, Tom, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, Bob? What's going on, Bill? Appreciate you guys having me.
No, we appreciate you being here. What a good day to be here.
Yeah, it's a fun day. I'm excited for these next 4 hours, man.
Yeah, so, Bill, last night you and I together at the Sixers game, so much to see from the beginning of, oh, my God, what's going on here, to the ending of, holy cow, look how good Joel Embiid is. What's kind of your synopsis on the game last night?
There were so many takeaways from that game. I mean, I absolutely loved what we saw from Joel, obviously, not only because of the 50 points, but I just loved how aggressive he was, how physical he was. I know Thibodeau's complaining about some of the things Joel did, but I just thought this was, and this isn't a hot take, I think everyone will agree, the best playoff performance we've ever seen from Joel. And it wasn't just because of the 50 points. It was just everything he did in this game. But one of the things I said to you on the pregame show, I said it here as well on Wednesday, I was nervous that Jalen Brunson was going to have that 35, 40-point game and the Knicks were going to steal a win. Well, Jalen Brunson drops 39 last night and the Knicks lose. So that is huge for me because I was waiting for that Brunson game. Just doesn't result in a win for the Knicks.
It's a great point by you. He controlled the game. 39 points, 13 assists. He had his hand in everything, it seemed like, and they still couldn't get a win. I wanted to ask you this question, but I thought of it last night when I was driving home and you and D were doing the post-game show, and I was listening to you guys. Who has the momentum? Is it undoubtedly the Sixers? Do the Knicks say, yeah, all right, we lost one, he had 50, that's not going to happen again, all of that. Has the momentum changed drastically, or is it kind of like, nah, it's still just a 50-50 series?
I think the momentum's with the 76ers because I think if you look back, obviously, at the way Game 2 ended, the Sixers had that game won. So the Knicks steal that win, and Game 3 could have gone either way. Did the Sixers really look at the Game 2 the way they said they did, which is, hey, we know we're the better team, and they come out and they win Game 3? Well, that's what happened. But the Knicks could have very easily carried over what was a heartbreaking loss for the Sixers and stole Game 3 at the Wells Fargo Center and pretty much put a nail in the coffin of the series. So I think all the momentum is with the 76ers right now because they have been the better team. It should be at the very least a 2-1 series in favor of the 76ers. So I'm excited for that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun down there. As we said, there was a lot of New York Knicks. Here's my first encounter with a New York Knicks fan. So I go to park into the media parking lot, and there's a guy there taking a picture of the Lincoln Financial Field, which is fine, cool. You have a huge parking lot that he's standing in. Where is he standing, taking this picture or video or whatever he was? right in the driveway of where all the cars have to come in to park their cars. So I rolled down the window. I'm like, is this where I make the obligatory, really, only a Knicks fan would take a picture here and stop traffic? And the guy he wanted to kind of go with me, and he goes, yeah, my fault. And I was like, I'm just kidding you, bud. No big deal. Good luck tonight. But there was some, there was, I don't know if you noticed this last night. So we're doing pregame show, right? And we're behind the Bet Rivers Lounge. We had some friends come over and visit. Met Biscuit, the bus driver, last night. Really good dude, him and his girlfriend, so got to talk to them for a little bit. But I'm talking with Karate Mark. Now, Karate Mark bought a Let's Go Sixers, like, mini poster that he was holding up and screaming, Let's Go Sixers. He puts it down on the table as he and I are talking, and a Knicks fan walks by and thinks he's real cool and, like, shoves it off the table onto the floor. And I'm like, yo, dude. And Mark's like, are you kidding me? And the guy ignores. And I said, I'm just letting you know, man, this guy could kill you with one finger. Karate Mark, who's got like 10 black belts.
Yeah, it's not the guy to mess with.
No. He doesn't look the part. Mark's like my height, like 5'10", 5'11", probably 165 pounds. But, yeah, he could kill you with his pinky. And the guy just kept walking. And I said that to Mark. I was like, you could take him with your, pinky. And he says, yeah, but that's not who I am. I don't do that. I do that for a living, but that's not who I am. So that guy walked off, free. Go back to do the show. We're sitting there doing the show. We're in the middle of talking. Same group of guys walk by. The guy behind his back makes eye contact with me, or us, goes way behind his back, gives us the finger. I'm like, and I don't care. Like, you got to come down here and act like an ass.
How pleasant.
Yeah, so there was that. Now, after the game, I'm sorry, let me not jump ahead. Early on in the game, it was ugly. Weird. And I was telling Bill, last night when I got home, I rewatched the game. I had to fast forward through the first quarter, through all that stuff, because it was just unbelievable. So, not a great look. Joel Embiid, I said it on the crossover, lucky. He was acting like a punk. You can't get that frustrated. And, I love Joel Embiid, but I as you all know, I call it the way I see it. If that was a regular season game, his butt would have grab a guy's legs when you're on the ground when he's attempting to jump. You do not. I mean, that's like I'm not even going to say it's an
don't want to injure an opponent. But I got to be honest, Bob, I really loved what I saw from Joel last night. I loved the attitude. I loved the aggression. I loved the physicality. And there's some leaked audio floating around on Twitter right now of how he was talking to the opponents, too. I just love that side of Joel that we don't always see. He's usually the one flailing his arms and falling to the ground. I just love that he was aggressive and he had attitude and he backed it up.
I totally agree. I totally agree with what you just said. There's no room for that, what I described before. The talking, the physicality, bumping into guys, throwing, all good with that. You don't grab a guy's legs when you're on the floor and he's attempting to jump.
That could have been ugly.
That was bad. Like, I looked at that and didn't like it from the get-go. But Nick Nurse was asked after the game, were you concerned about Joel Embiid losing his cool early on?
When Joel has that offensive foul and then flagrant few possessions apart there, is there any concern that he might be kind of like losing his cool or losing control a little bit in the first quarter there?
Nope. Thought he was playing tough.
I love it. Nope. I love it playing tough. If I were to sit down with Nick Nurse in his office maybe and it was just the two of us and our phones were put away and there's no way I could record it, and I would say, what was that about? The basketball person of almost anybody would say, yeah, that was pretty cheap. You don't do that. So I don't want to put a black mark on what was a really good night and a great effort by Joel Embiid. But you can't, I'll tell you what else. For all the toughness of Tom Thibodeau and, I only watched 46 minutes. I don't worry about the last two. Yeah, if you were smart tough, Tom, you would have sent your 12th guy into the game when Embiid was like, fuse was lit. And you would have stoked that a little bit more and try to get something bad to happen. I mean, that's just sports. I would have done it. I would have sent my 12th guy in and say, hey, go in there. You got 6 fouls. Go get 3 of them right now on Joel Embiid and see what happens.
Yeah, you got a good point there. And I wish I was in the locker room at halftime to hear what Nick Nurse talked to Joel Embiid about, because he came out in the third quarter. Sixers are down 58-55, and Joel had maybe the best quarter of his career. I mean, he made 4 3-pointers in the third, 4 for 4. And I saw a stat after the game. He's never had 4 3-pointers in a quarter in his career, and he does it at that moment, which
How
is,
about that?
we talked about it before the game. 93% of teams that go down 2-0 have lost, but no team has ever gone down 3-0 and came back to win a series. So
Right.
that third quarter was the biggest moment, and Joel showed up in a huge way.
And it was funny. He started hitting threes. Then you get, I know Kyle Lowry hit one from a corner. Campaign gets you like 3 threes.
Campaign, man.
That was what we were. And you know what? And this was cool, Bill, because we were sitting there last night watching the game. I love watching somebody have fun. Having fun. It wasn't like, getting the Knicks' face after making a basket. Nah, he was just having fun with himself and with his teammates. And so that's kind of the levity that you need sometimes, especially in playoff basketball, because it is so tense. There is so much pressure. Well, here's a guy banging threes and then jumping up and down on one leg and stuff. It was cool. I liked watching him.
So I talk about making the most of your opportunity where he doesn't play at all basically the first 2 games. He comes out, Buddy Hield gets benched. Good move by Nick Nurse. And to go out there and not only play and perform at that level, but also have fun while you're doing it in that type of moment. Huge game by Campaign there.
Yeah, that was great. And Tyrese Maxey, once again, he just loves the limelight. 25 points last night, 9 of 21 shooting. Not a great shooting night, but getting where he wanted to go on the basketball court. He also hit a couple of huge threes, step backs. I mean, huge by like feet-wise, like 30-footers. He was just so much fun to watch. And as I said earlier, and Bill, this goes, I think, to the physicality. The Sixers won the battle on the boards last night. For the first time in this series, they won the battle on the boards.
Yeah, it's gotten better every game. Game 1 was a disaster. They got better in Game 2, and they were really good in Game 3. And their bench points are getting better. In the first game, outscored from the bench 42-7, mostly because of Deuce McBride. Game 2, outscored from the bench 16-10. Well, last night, 19-18. I'll take that. If we're going to have equal bench and you're going to get that from Tyrese and Joel, we mentioned Campaign. Got to shout out my man Kelly Oubre, too, putting up 15 points last night. I said on pregame to you, I just hope Kelly Oubre has more than 4 points. And the fact that he had that in the first quarter was huge in keeping this team in it, and then Joel took over in the third.
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun to watch last night, and everybody that contributed. I know there'll be, Tobias Harris, what's going on with him? Legitimate question. That's okay. Again, point shot less than 50%. He had a lot, 39. He got a lot. But, man, watching it again last night when I got home, he had to work for everything. There was very, very few easy baskets for him. So that stood out. Also, Joel Embiid is just such a mismatch against the New York Knicks. There's nobody that can hang with him. Hartenstein, early on, you and I were getting frustrated because he's making those damn left-handed kind of floaters.
So ugly, too.
It is so ugly, and it goes in, and you're like, are you kidding me? But very first play of the game, Joel Embiid spin moves, baseline, goes in for a layup. And it was funny because Kate Scott and I, excuse me, my allergies are killing me again today. Kate Scott and I totally differed on our opinion on the first play last night. She goes, and Joel Embiid goes in strong for a layup. Now, he did. There was 3 guys there. He spun and went in for a layup. I am shouting at the same time, oh, go stronger. Because if you look at it, it's like a layup that he didn't jump, and like his hand is nowhere near the rim. I always want to see that. I want to see a 7-2 guy finishing. I'm not saying you got to go in and slam it every time, but I would like him to be a little bit higher on those layups. But nonetheless, it was the start of a great, great night. All right, I want to tell you the 10 o'clock hour. It's brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. Okay, when we get back, I have a question for you guys and for Bill about this Joel Embiid night. It's something that's going to make you think a little bit, not hopefully not in a negative way. Also, we're going to hit on what the Eagles did last night because I want to get Bill's thoughts on staying where they were and probably getting who they wanted. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Looking so forward to this weekend, Bill. Obviously got all the sports things going on. And then I had a kid coming in last night that was going to visit for the weekend from Charlotte. I told you I was going right after the game, head down to the airport. I was all pumped, excited. I'm going to go home, have a beer with my son. And I get a text from him. Yeah, flight's delayed till 10 o'clock. Then I get another text. Yeah, flight's delayed till 11 o'clock. Then I get another text. Yeah, flight's canceled. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you know how you have something in the back of your head even though you're doing something on and we're at the Sixers game last night. But it's like, oh, yeah, and I still have this coming up. And then I got wiped away.
Yeah, but the silver lining was you got to hang out a litlittle bit longer. You and I got to watch the whole game together, and then we got to watch the NFL draft fall the Eagles' way with arguably the quarterback in the draft going to them at 22 without even having to move up. So a pretty good night.
Yeah, very good. So we're going to get into the Eagles' pick last night. But here's what Louis Riddick had to say last night about the Eagles taking Toledo's Quinyon Mitchell at number 22.
He's over 6 foot, 195 pounds, 4'3", 38 vertical jumps, lining up in man coverage. And look, even if it isn't right at the beginning here, he loses leverage, he loses his inside leverage. I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to run to that upfield shoulder, ball's a little bit underthrown. I'm going to time it up and make the PBU. Off man coverage, you know what? I'm going to include the 3-step. I'm not even going to backpedal because I'm looking at the quarterback. Quarterback's not dropping. I'm just going to drive hard on the slant. I got you. And then run support. I will come up and set the edge, and I will get ball carriers on the ground. There are numerous plays where he put big hits on people. They got a complete corner right here.
Complete corner right here. When you're talking PBR, hips dropping, all of that stuff, it's football season. But, Bill, any concerns for you? You did take a guy from Toledo. I love what Quinyon Mitchell said last night and the perception that many have of him. The reason he didn't leave Toledo is because he wanted to be loyal. That was the team that took him. That was the team that recruited him, that he says took a chance on me, and I wanted to show loyalty. I love that. Any, reservations about him playing at Toledo?
I mean, you can't not have those reservations, but I agree with you because he talked about how the relationships were more important than the money. And you heard Nick Saban talk about how he was the guy they wanted to see enter the transfer portal, but he stayed. So you do have a little bit of concerns because of the competition he played against. You're talking about teams in the Mid-American Conference like Illinois, Texas Southern, San Jose State, Western Michigan. He's not playing against these big SEC teams like Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, or Nate Wiggins from Clemson. You're not going to have that level of competition. But what we kept hearing, and Andrew DeCecco did a good job covering the draft and the combine for us here at 97.5 The Fanatic, you kept hearing about how impressed everyone was with Quinyon Mitchell at the Senior Bowl when he's going up against some of the best talent that college football has to offer. He held his own in a big way. So I'm okay with this pick. You have to trust your scouts. The Eagles, I didn't want to see them trade up to get him. I said that all week. I did not want to see the Eagles give up any of their second-round draft picks to move up the draft board. I wanted 3 of the top 53 prospects. And the fact that they were able to sit tight and get their pick of the litter at corner, not a single cornerback taken picks, I'm trusting them with Quinyon Mitchell. He was the top corner on a lot of draft boards. And I hear the fans out there right now who are probably driving around listening saying, and all over again. No, it's not. And the reason why is there were other wide receivers that had already gone in that draft. This is not a similar situation. Quinyon Mitchell is not Jalen Reagor. This was the guy that they had targeted, they had ranked as the number 1 corner. Jalen Reagor was not the number 1 wide receiver on their board. So be excited. Listen to this stat, Bob. 437 coverage snaps in 2023. Quinyon Mitchell led up 0 touchdowns.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
I like the film that I was seeing of him last night. I love a corner that finds the ball and goes up and goes after it. Like he finds it at its highest point and goes up and swipes, does whatever he can to keep it away from receiver. Question for you is, will he step right in and start? Is there a chance that he could do that? Because I also heard a lot of talk about him on special teams. When I hear that, that doesn't, to me, say this guy's.
I don't know if he's going to be the starter week 1, game 1. I think, and I've said this before on this show and on this station, I don't think the cornerback room was in as bad of a position as some people thought it was. I think there's a lot of players that you have in that cornerback room with Darius Slay and now Isaiah Rodgers being reinstated. You have Zach McPherson coming back. They brought back Avonte Maddox. Yes, they still have James Bradbury on the roster. We'll see if he's actually on the roster after training camp. But you also have Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks. So there's a lot of names in that cornerback room where if Quinyon Mitchell is not ready week 1, game 1, you can slow him. And look, everything we hear about Vic Fangio is he's a great teacher. So I'm really expecting them to teach this guy and bring him along. I don't need him to start week 1, game 1. You know, let's see what he does. How does he contribute on special teams? If he absolutely blows them away in training camp, then sure. But I don't think they need him. And Darius Slay had a great quote on Twitter. Someone tweeted at him, how do you feel about Quinyon Mitchell coming for your job? And Darius Slay, to his credit, being a good veteran, said, hey, it's my job to get this guy ready. So I loved that from Darius Slay. And he's learning from a good one. Big play Slay is a good one to learn behind.
Very cool. And the day started with the Eagles, before we get back to Sixers, the day started with the Eagles with the contract extension of A.J. Brown. I just had a buddy text me and say, what do you think Devontae Smith is thinking now that A.J. Brown got more money than him? I said, he's fine. He got his money. I think they're okay being 1 and 1A or both 1A or both ones, whatever. But what did you think of that extension and everything surrounding it?
Hold on. Before we even do that, I don't know what's going on here. I just go on Twitter to go to Big Play Slay's X account to see what he had to say. It says I'm blocked. I have no idea why Big Play Slay would be blocking me. I've been very positive about this Philadelphia Eagles team. Anyway, Big Play Slay, not sure why you're blocking me, but still kudos to you. But absolutely love the extension that they gave A.J. Brown for the exact reasons we talked when they extended Devontae Smith. Do it now because it's never going to recap going up every single season, and it really going up record highs every year because it's based off of NFL revenue, and revenue is through the roof. By doing that now and locking up Devontae Smith now, do you realize the steal that contract is going to be by the time 2028, 2029 comes around? So great job by Howie Roseman, keeping his players happy, but more importantly, getting them under contract at what is going to look like absolute steals in a couple of seasons.
Yeah, so you got to do some more digging, find out what Slay's problem is. I mean, I don't know what that's about. Did he block a whole bunch of people? Is he on a block fest? We've seen other athletes in this town do that. I don't know. Crazy. Rich in Philly wants to talk about the Sixers win last night. Rich, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on?
Hey, what a great win. What a great win. A little disappointed because I just want the best player the right way because watching, and you want to do things the right way. Him pulling down Mitchell Robinson and taking Mitchell Robinson out the game. I don't think that was right. You know, I want to win fair and square. So when I beat you, I want to be able to look at you and know that I beat you the right way, and there wasn't no asterisk, there wasn't no bad playing on my part, and I just was disappointed. I love the game, I love the win with Joel Embiid, but I'm just disappointed in him down. I don't feel like that was. I want to beat you fair and square. I don't want to take out your player just to win and then feel good about it. I want to beat them at full squad, and I don't feel like we did that last night. I'm happy for the win, but I just didn't feel good about that play.
Rich, thanks so much for the call. I don't look. I mentioned it in the beginning that I didn't like that play. It's not the overriding factor of the day. I'm not going to, I don't want that to be a huge talking point. Rich, I'm glad you brought it up. That's the way you feel. That's great. I brought it up also. Understand. Look, it's a chippy series. Yeah. There's some nastiness going on there. You can play physical, Bill, as you labeled it out perfectly. You can play physical. You can talk smack. You can do all those things. You can't get cheap. And, I bet you Joel would take that back if he could.
And I believe he talked about it after the game, and basically what he said is he's scared when he's down there like that. And I don't know if he's just saying this or not, but he's scared that someone's going to land on him. He had visions of when he trying to. But you're right. It's a chippy series. I'm sure he didn't want to do that again. It didn't look great on the broadcast. It didn't look great live either. So, but hey, I love the aggressiveness from him. You don't want to be dirty. You don't want to be cheap. But I love that he's out there. He's talking smack. He's in people's faces. The leaked audio, he's saying, then what you going to do about it? Like being a tough guy. I love it. And now that we're hearing not only is he dealing with the knee, he's dealing with Bell's palsy. I mean, all the people, because there's been a lot of them, who talk about, oh, Joel's soft and, oh, it's going to happen again in the playoffs. This guy is giving it his all, and I'm just really impressed with what we've seen from Joel the last couple games.
Yeah, I want to play a clip in a minute about Joel Embiid talking about these injuries, the kind of why me aspect. But let me get to Joe in Gilbertsville first. Joe, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, good morning, guys. I called yesterday, and you asked that question. You want to see something and less of something. So, the Sixers did a lot less dribbling last night and a lot more ball movement. And when you do a lot less dribbling, it doesn't allow your defense to get set. So, yeah, when you play less iso ball, Sixers offense is more fluid. You're also more active as a player. And the Sixers last night for one game, it's great to see. It's great to hear Joel Embiid say the right things after a win. But we got to be honest. Embiid's been here almost 10 years. He is mentally soft when they lose. He is mentally soft when there's major issues after those games. After a win where he plays great, he's always been good.
Joe, let me ask you, though. Hold on, Joe. You say after a loss, they lost game 2. You didn't like what Joel had to say that, hey, we're the better team, we're going to win this series? I didn't think he was soft after game 2.
What I'm talking about is when he's talking after a loss, his head's not facing the camera. He's talking down. You can say the right thing. But his attitude wasn't there. He was saying it because he has to say it.
Well, look, we know now his head was down.
Joe. I'm sorry. Today's not a bash Joel Embiid day. He was looking down because he's got Bell's palsy going on in his face.
Exactly.
The eyes hurting his. And, Joe, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. I just don't think today's the day of talking about Joel Embiid's softness and not answering questions with his head up when he's dealing with Bell's palsy, which we found out after the game last night. And here's Joel Embiid last night after the game talking about the why me factor of all these injuries.
I say it every day. It is unfortunate. Every single year, you start asking yourself questions like, why? Every single year is very annoying. Yeah, maybe it's just meant to be. Just gotta take it as it is. But the one thing I'm not going to do is give up. No matter what happens, got to keep pushing, got to keep fighting, got to keep putting my body on the line for my family, for this team. I can't sit back every single time, feel bad about myself, why me,
Yeah, good for him. I love he's directly addressing things, stuff that we've talked about with him. It's unfortunate. Like, I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, same. And I think that Joel's mindset, we talked about this right after he came back against the Oklahoma City Thunder. It just seemed like his mindset was different this year going into the playoffs. He talked about how not being in the MVP race was actually a good thing because it was toxic the last couple of seasons. And it seems like Joel's focus is all about winning this year, and I absolutely love it. And when we get back, Bob, I don't know if you're planning on playing it, but I'm going to ask Tom to play it. What Tyrese Maxey said after the game just about Joel Embiid's voice and presence on this team. Not only the 50 points, not only what he's doing on the court, but what Joel has done for this team off the court. This is the best version of Joel Embiid. Maybe not physically. I know he's banged up, but this is the best version of Joel Embiid I think we've had in this city since he's been here.
Yeah, very well could be. You're right. All right, we got a whole bunch more Sixers talk coming up also. I want to throw out to Bill what he thinks the Eagles are going to do. Have picks number 50 and 53 today. Tony, we'll get to you as soon as we get back, and I want to throw a question out there about last night's win to you. It'll make you think a little bit. It'll make you cry. It'll make you do all those things. 610-632-0975. That's how you reach us. You can text us, but we'd love to talk to you about that Sixers win last night, the Eagles pick last night, anything you have on your mind. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Bill, did I ever tell you a story about my parents with the Happy Fridays? So my dad would come home from work every day. He'd get home like 3:30, and he'd make a thing of martinis. And he would pour one for himself and one for my mother. And every day they would clean glasses. Every single day of my life, they would clean glasses and say happy, whatever day it was. Happy Tuesday, happy Wednesday, happy day, and give each other a kiss.
And how long were they married before they passed?
Oh, wow. That's a great 50, probably about somewhere. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's probably why. Celebrate all the moments. Celebrate all the small stuff. And that's why we should be celebrating today, Bob. And instead, we've had a couple callers ripping Joel Embiid. I can't believe it. I just said to our producer. Yeah, that's it.
That's going to stop.
Yeah, I just said to our producer, Tom, it's the people who hate on Joel, they just look for every little reason to hate on him. But you look at his performance last night, knowing that he's battling a knee injury, knowing that now he's battling Bell's palsy, and he puts the team on his back, drops 50 points. And I said before the break, it's not only what he's doing on the court, it's his presence and his leadership that I think may be the best it's ever been. Listen to Tyrese Maxey after the game.
I mean, I think he was settled in. I just think he started, being Joel. He started dominating, started blocking shots. I'll say this, his voice and his presence tonight was the biggest thing. I know he had 50, but I just said that just like it was nothing, but his voice, his presence, his passion was huge tonight, and he didn't let us get pushed around early. They were trying to push us around and be aggressive with us, and he set the tone early. We're not going for that. We're not going to get pushed around, and it kind of led to the entire group. And guys stepped in there, got big time rebounds, got big time loose balls, and it worked out for us.
I love how Maxey catches himself. Yeah, I know he had 50, but he goes, I'm not saying that lightly. Like, he had 50. It's the 7th time this year a Sixers player's Embiid's done it 4 times, Maxey's done it 3 times. That's incredible. That's incredible to me.
And no Sixer has done it in the playoffs since Allen Iverson.
Yeah, Allen Iverson did it 3 times. Just read this in the Sixers notes. Iverson did it 3 times, and Billy Cunningham did it once. The great Billy Cunningham, Kangaroo Kid. Love that man.
And Dee mentioned on the postgame show that she believes Allen Iverson did it back-to-back games after he hit 50.
Yeah, I think he might have done it against, it was either Toronto or Milwaukee, one of those. I think it was Toronto, but that's amazing, just amazing. And I love the way Tyrese Maxey talked about it, and we all love the way Joel Embiid played last night. And Tony wants to talk about it in West Philly. Tony, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bob, Bill, good morning.
Morning, buddy.
How you guys doing?
Great.
I wanted to make a point, a Quinyon Mitchell point, but I wanted to make my Joel Embiid point. I don't know what era of basketball some of these callers have watched. Do they not realize a team like the Knicks that has really one superstar has to play the Pat Riley Knicks style of basketball because the Sixers have more talent? Did they not watch the Miami Heat of the '90s or the Bad Boy Pistons of the '80s? When you have the best player like the Sixers have, or the 2 best players in Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, their strategy has to be to play physical to try to either get in their heads and intimidate. That's what the superstar's supposed to. If he allows himself to be passed, that sets the whole tone for the rest of the team.
You're
when
right.
They know that he's willing to get a little gritty and give it back. That pumps the rest of you. We got a lot of young bucks on this team. He can't go out there and be soft. He has to give it back.
I agree. Tone, I agree with you. I love the fan. Thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. I love the physical play out of him. No question about it. The only little tiny asterisk is don't be cheap, don't be dirty. That's all. But even a little dirty I'll take, but not cheap. You know, nothing like that. But Embiid was phenomenal last night. I still crack up. Like, I went home and told my wife, and she couldn't have cared less. I said, I looked at Bill in the middle of the game, and not late in the game, and I said, my God, the guy's scoring 48 points, and it's kind of quiet. And I really felt that way last night. And it's because you just get so used to it.
Yep.
You get used to his domination, I think.
Yeah, and it didn't hurt that he had 19 of those points at the free throw line.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You know what? Let me go to my man Biscuit, because I met Biscuit last night. Biscuit, the bus driver, is on with us. What's up, Biscuit?
What's going on? How you, man?
Doing great. How you living?
I'm living large, man. I was so excited. I had a good time. I'm glad I finally got to shake your hand. and watch y'all show. It was amazing. I had an awesome night.
It was great to meet you and your beautiful lady.
No, that was my sister.
Oh, that was your sister. I'm sorry. Well, she's beautiful, too.
Yeah, that was my sister. Now, let me tell you, Joel Embiid scored 50 points with a bad leg and he has another health issue. Y'all got to salute him. All these haters on Joel, they got to stop. They got to stop.
They'll stop. They should stop for today. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's Philly. It's Philly, Biscuit. You know how we do, how it goes.
Yeah, that comes with the territory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he was phenomenal last night, wasn't he?
Yeah, but you know what? What impresses me that Maxey got that Most Improved award last night.
Right.
That was so he deserved that. He really deserved that. It was an amazing night for me.
Good. Biscuit, so great to meet you. You and your sister had a great time seeing you, and hope to see you in the future down at some Sixers games. Biscuit brought up the physicality and the caller before about the way the Knicks go. Before we hit break, I want you to listen to what Tom Thibodeau had to say last night. Because we played a clip from him the other day, right, Bill? And Ray went crazy. Ray blew a gasket.
I'm more concerned about the 6 minutes.
Yeah, I watched the whole game, and he tried to make a joke, and the reporters gathered were like, yeah, dude, you're not funny. Just answer the question. Well, last night, for some reason, he decides he has to go off about whatever, crybaby fashion. Here it is.
And I said this earlier, going in, we're scoring plenty. We're scoring a ton of points. We, at a high level, at an efficient level. He had the team playing well. Like, he didn't shoot well, but he had the team playing well. And then he ended up, with 10, 12 free throws, right? And a lot of those came at the end. And so I'll look at it again. I'll send my clips in like I do every game. And then they'll say marginal contact. And then, and then we'll have marginal contact on Embiid, and he'll be at the line 21 times. So that's the way it works.
Yeah, get used to it, Tom. Sorry, and congratulations on you scoring a ton of points last night. You scored 11 less than the Sixers, so that's where it stands. Okay, when we get back, I've been teasing that I want to put a question out there to you about last night's win. And anything else you want to talk about Sixers last night, anything you noticed. Joel Embiid's the big story. He was unbelievable with a 50-burger last night, battling Bell's palsy, battling the knee injury. It's wild what this guy has gone through. Your thoughts on the remainder of this series, maybe, or what you expect for Sunday coming up. Whatever you want to do. And let's not forget, the Eagles picked a corner at 22 without moving, probably the one they wanted, and maybe thought they had to move up for, but they didn't do it. Bill Colarulo's here with us all day today. Tom Alford producing. I'm Bob Cooney, middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. after a huge Sixers win. Fargo Center, because if you are, you need to be a little louder. Like, you got to kind of drown out those New York fans, because there was plenty of them there last night, Bill.
There were plenty of them there last night, and I got to be honest, Bob, I'm a little concerned there's going to be more of them there on Sunday, because last night was Thursday night. It's a little easier for people to get down the turnpike on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it could be. For those who haven't experienced it before, I wasn't surprised at the reaction today, because it was. You get in there, and you and I said it. As soon as the first basket was scored by the Knicks, we were like, oh, boy, yeah, they are here. I put it at like 60, 70, something like that. The Knicks fans that were there were boisterous, which is fine. But, when Sixers fans had to drown them out, it really wasn't a problem. So, but you're right. Come Sunday, nice afternoon, you take the ride down. We'll see. I know the guys this morning were talking a lot about the bad fans who sell their tickets to Knick fans. John's a big follower, a big liker of capitalism. Isn't that kind of what it's all about? If you can sell a ticket and make a little extra money in your pocket, I don't begrudge anybody doing whatever they want to do. I don't care. But there was a pretty good Knick contingent down there last night, so maybe it'll be flooded away come Sunday. Hey, we got a Mother's Day giveaway. If you head to 975thefanatic.com, you can enter a chance to win 2 in the Mother's Day nationwide contest. It's sponsored by Pallades Florist. Make Mom's Mother's Day special with beautiful flowers from Pallades Florist. Now with 3 locations to serve you. Visit PalladesFlorist.com. Okay, last night we saw a game. Your Philadelphia 76ers, they get an 11-point win, 125-114 over the New York Knicks after 2 really tough games up in Madison Square Garden. Here's what I want to point out to you, Bill, and to everyone out there, 610-632-0975. You shot the 76ers last night, shot 5% from the floor. You made 15 of 1 3-pointers, almost 50% from three-point line. You made 28 of 33 foul shots, and I'm not Tom Thibodeau in it here, but the Knicks went 13 for 19. They only went to the line 19 times. Joel Embiid puts up a 50-burger for you. Do these things have to be sustainable in order for the Sixers to win against the New York Knicks? Do they have to shoot 55%? Do they have to shoot almost 50% from 3? Do they need Embiid and or Maxey to go for like 50 in a game in order for them to win? And does it have to be?
I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think we can expect Joel to hit 50 points every night, but I don't think it has to be, because you could make the same arguments for the New York Knicks. I know we keep waiting for Josh Hart to come down to earth, and he hasn't yet. But
no.
once again, 20 points from him last night, 50% from 3. He drops another 4 3-pointers. The guy was only averaging 3.3 3-point attempts per game in the regular season, and he has another 4 last night. So I don't think it has to be sustainable. What does need to be sustainable isn't Joel dropping 50, but Oubre has to drop 15 points. He has to get his season average for this team to compete, and they need some off their bench like they got last night. Even though Campaign only gives you 11, you need that from one of your bench players. And we really didn't get into it at all today, Bob. We thought we were going to see DeAnthony Melton yesterday. He was active, but with Campaign playing so well, they didn't need DeAnthony Melton.
I do think that Nick Nurse is a little leery of can I try to get a guy in shape or see what kind of shape he's in during a playoff game. 11 points, as you said last night, which doesn't sound tremendous, but they were loud 11 points, weren't they, Bill? At the time that they came, 3-pointers in 16 minutes. He gets you 11 points. That was a real boost in the arm. 610-632-0975 has to be sustained to tie this series on Sunday and have a chance to win this series, which goes 7.
Well, you notice to the Sixers fan. I mean, now you fast forward these 8, 10 years later, his back should be hurting for carrying a stiff name Ben Simmons, Harris, Markelle Fultz is a joke Okafor was a mess. You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Butler for half of season. You know what I mean? It was Joel who was winning. Dealing with stiff. Close. You know what I'm saying? I mean, might be making veteran minimum. I mean, carrying steps, his back should be hurting. This young kid right here, Tyrese Maxey, is the only legit all-star he has since he's been to Philadelphia. Hands down. You know what I mean?
Tried a bunch of them, haven't they, Joe?
I mean, yeah, they tried a bunch of them, and all of them were duds, straight duds. Ben Simmons was carrying on Joel's, back to get to the All-Star. Ben Simmons was no true All-Star again, no true All-Star player. You know, the Sixers were winning. Nobody else to pair up with him, and it was Ben Simmons at the time.
Joe, appreciate the call, Joe. Appreciate it a lot. Yeah, Joel Embiid is something really special. I mean, really, really special. And the fact that he went out there last night, got you the 50 points on 19 shots, Bill. That's amazing to me. 19 shots. Now,
NBA record.
Yeah, he did go to the foul line 21 times, which is a lot, and Tom Thibodeau had to complain about that, and good on him. But Dylan made a great point to us out there. Let's not forget, Dylan said this, that they fouled him 2 or 3 times towards the end of the game to try to, cut the lead. So those are 2 or 3 fouls that they wanted to give. So take them away. He gets to the line just about the same amount of times as Jalen Brunson.
I get frustrated, too, with the complaints when Joel goes to the line. Be in a better position defensively. Don't foul him. I don't think they're calling ticky-tack fouls on the players guarding Joel Embiid. They're in bad position, and they're making the right calls. It bothers me when that's used against Joel, that he goes to the line so much. Play him better. Play better defense. And, we have a lot of fans who still talk about Joel, and they think this is the NBA of the 90s. They want Joel Embiid under the basket all the time. And I always ask the question, why would you take away something that he does so well with his shooting? And last night, we would have had fans complain, he took 7 3-pointers. Why is he taking 7 3-pointers? He made 5 of them, Bob.
Exactly. Yeah, he is just a special, gifted athlete. I said, look, first move of the game. You want him to the left of the basket, looking at the basket. He spin moves towards the baseline, goes in for a layup as New York is collapsing on him. Around 3 guys. Makes a layup there. We saw him go to the basket numerous times last night. One of the reasons he went to the line 21 times. But, yeah, he is such a good shooter. I have no problem at all when he starts lining things up from 3-point. Now, Nick Nurse, after the game, he thought one of the reasons Joel Embiid was so good last night was because of his decisiveness.
Yeah, he's certainly better, right? He keeps getting better all the time, but I think tonight he was aggressive, right? And I know that's like the word, he was so aggressive, but he was rolling downhill. He was catching and shooting quick. There was hardly, I can think of maybe one where he held it for a long time and finally shot it. He made it. But most of it was decisive. Maybe that's a better word. I thought he was decisive on his decisions on when to roll and when to shoot tonight.
And that's what Nick Nurse wants. He wants that, all right, here we go. You could hear it in what he said if you read between the lines. We can't have that slow offense because that's how New York wants to play. That's how they play. That's how they want. The Sixers, I thought, did a really good job, and Joe talked about it from Gilbertsville earlier. They moved the ball well, and remember on the pregame last night, we talked about you got to play downhill. It's a home game. You got to play downhill a little bit more, and they seemed to do that a little bit more last night.
They did, and then towards the end of the game, you and I are watching it. Sixers are up. We want to win the game. We're like, all right, don't slow down now. Don't slow down your offense now and give them a chance to get back in, which it looked like they were starting to do a little bit. But some big plays down the stretch. Nico Batum doesn't always show up on the stat sheet. Had a big block towards the end of that game.
Yeah, he did, and he was the intangible factor last night. I thought Batum was. Went for 29 minutes, grabbed you 6 rebounds, a couple assists, had a couple of blocks, a steal. He was a +9 while he was out there. Only had 4 points, but just the intangible stuff. If I see Nico Batum out on the floor, and I said Nico, I mean Nick, but when I see him out on the floor, to me, I can only imagine what it's like for me, Bill. Oh, okay, good. I know nothing. The offensive rebounds of the Knicks are going to kind of dwindle away. the game. The right pass will be made when Nick Batum's in the game. He's just kind of that comfort feeling for me.
He is, and you're talking about rebounds. Me and D talked about this on the post game. Paul Reed, only 3 rebounds last night, 2 of them offensive. But I thought his 7 minutes were really quality minutes from Paul Reed when he subbed in for Joel.
Yeah, and I think he got the talking to of, hey, Paul, this isn't regular season, so you're probably not going to go 16, 18. No matter how many minutes you play, you have 6 fouls. Don't be afraid to use them. So Paul Reed gets in there last night, commits 3 of them in 7 minutes. But that's fine. We took the word of the day pretty much. And that's, kind of where the Paul Reed and the team went last night.
Let me ask you a question, Bob. This is a tough one. Who had a better night last night, Joel Embiid or Howie Roseman?
I'll go Embiid. I don't know what's going to happen with this kid. You talked about it before, so when we were talking off air, you're like, yeah, the draft, you can say it's great, and so you don't know for a couple of years.
It's a crapshoot, man.
Yeah.
It is, and that's why, switching to the Eagles for a second, I agree with the better night. But switching to the Eagles, this is why I loved what they did. I didn't want to see them give up an opportunity to take 2 more players in the top 53 with these second-round picks. Because as much as we all love Quinyon Mitchell and everyone's so excited, nobody knows. It could turn out to not work out. But they stayed put, and Howie Roseman loves value, Bob. He talks about it all the time, how much he loves value. And what value staying at 22 and getting arguably the best cornerback in the draft. Now, I say arguably because we're going to have to now watch Terrion Arnold's career, Nate Wiggins' career, Kool-Aid McKinstry's career, and see, did they get it right? But sitting here today, less than 24 hours removed, you have to be happy with what the Eagles did at 22.
And if you're going to talk about the best of anything, it's pretty cool to go to the best college football coach of all time, right? Go to Nick Saban and see what he might have to say about Quinyon Mitchell.
Well, he was our number 1 guy in the portal last year to try to get to come out of the portal. Yeah. And he didn't never get in the portal. So it was
right.
Yeah, but this guy is a really good player. He's got everything. He tackles decently. He can play man-to-man. He plays the ball in the deep part of the field. I wasn't sold on this guy because the MAC doesn't have great speed. It's not a speed league, so I was worried about level of comp when I watched him. But at the Senior Bowl, I guarded him better than him.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, he really did.
His stock went to
and I think that's where his stock went up. And I think they're getting a really good player.
All right, you heard all the positives and all, and I love that. A little bit that he really proved himself at the Senior Bowl. Of that week of practices and that game, he proved himself. Does that worry you, or is it just, oh, no, this guy's a treasure. He can't help who he's playing against.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to ignore that throughout his college career, he didn't play against great competition. He's not going up against the talent that's in the SEC. I gave you the names of some of the schools he played earlier. I mean, they played Miami, but Miami, Ohio. They played Buffalo, Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan. To be these really great athletes that you see in the SEC, but you have to trust your scouts. And if you saw him doing it at the Senior Bowl against some of the best talent college football has to offer, and you went to the Combine 3-3, third best time at the Combine, and a lot of people had this guy ranked the number 1 corner in the NFL, in the NFL draft. And we see it. We watch football. We watch professional football. Players in the NFL don't always come to the best college schools. So it just...
Yeah.
And the fact that Nick Saban was waiting for him to enter the portal, that makes me feel good.
Conference that came into the NFL and we're fine. So he's like, it doesn't matter where you play. Of course, it was about 5 players over the last 50 years, but that's okay. No big deal.
You look at Illinois. It was one of the schools in that conference.
Right.
One of the schools he played. I mean, Devin Witherspoon looks pretty good. So,
yeah, there's that. And everywhere. And what I loved about Quinyon Mitchell that I read this morning was that the reason he stayed at Toledo is because I love loyalty. That's awesome. Chris and Pennsauken, you're on 97.5. Evan, you're not out drinking already, Chris, are you?
Bill, I called, no, not yet, brother. Called Bobby and Amy yesterday, and I said I wanted Mitchell or Arnold, and I trade up to 16, and Amy educated as heck, and she's like, nah, I think you got to trade up to 12. Well, we got him at 22.
Amazing,
we got
right?
Him 22. 225 for 20 reps as a cornerback, squatting 550, running 4.33. Are you kidding me? We finally got a dude. That's a Philly dude. You see him jumping around in the crowd with the Eagles fan yelling E-A-G-L-E-S. Let me tell you, man. And we got the told you, didn't I tell you yesterday, Bobby? He was gonna whoop their ass. That's what I said to you and Amy yesterday. And he took them out to the shed over behind. It's sunny out. I just need to know one thing from two. 8-5. Should I boys, I love Philly. Let's go.
He's terrific. His
Love
daughter,
the energy.
Yeah, his daughter plays softball. Says she hit a bomb yesterday, so that's awesome. Good for him. That's a great sports day, man. You can talk Eagles, Sixers, all of those things. When your kid does something on the field on top of it, that moves to the head of the list. That's awesome.
You're not kidding. And look, he talked about how he wanted Mitch, and he thought they had to go up to 16 or 12 to get him, and they didn't. And a lot of the reason why they didn't was because of that run on we were all hoping for, we were all wishing for, but nobody saw it coming that the Atlanta Falcons, who just signed Kirk Cousins to a big free agent deal, go Michael Penix Jr. at 8. A surprise of the draft right there.
He was, to me, and I said this about Jalen Hurts, although more glowingly. I said Jalen Hurts was my favorite college player when his last year playing because I loved watching him play. Whether that was going to translate to the NFL or not, I didn't know. I just liked watching him play college football. I loved watching Michael Penix play college football this year. I loved it. It's, late at night sometimes, and you're like, you're kind of footballed out on college football Saturdays. But if Washington was on, boom, there it is. I got to watch. Look, the throwing motion is weird. Obviously, he's a left-hander. I saw somebody on Twitter. I wonder if you saw this, Bill. They translated his throws as a right-hander. And my God, does it look awkward. But I love the way that kid throws the ball. There's injury history. I know all that. But I can't believe what I said to John Kincade. I said, it's not a sports town. That's why. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, John would know. He was down there forever. But, look, you said you loved watching Michael Penix Jr. You may not watch him for 4 years because you look at Kirk Cousins' contract. First of all, it's a no-trade clause. So even if they're impressed with Michael Penix, what are they going to do with Cousins? And if they try to cut him the way the deal is structured, after 2025, he still would carry, in 2025, a $65 million cap hit if they tried to cut him.
God.
A $25 million dead cap hit in 2026. Let me see what the trade numbers would be. If they tried to trade him, oh, my God, 2025, $37.5 million dead cap if they trade him. 2026, $25 million dead cap if they trade him. I just don't know what the Falcons say a lot, that you always take the best player available in the draft. But there's a caveat there. Not if it's a quarterback and you just signed a quarterback.
Yeah.
That was just a bad move by them. But, look, it helped the Eagles. It pushed a player down the board. And, me and Tom, the producer, were talking about this during one of the breaks. The Eagles took Jalen Hurts in the second round at 53, and I liked the move at the time, even if he was going to be a backup quarterback, because I thought, okay, the Eagles know the value of a backup. They just won a Super Bowl with a backup, and now you got a guy on a rookie deal in the second round for 4 years. You don't do that, though, with the 8th overall pick. This was just a weird move. I don't agree with it, but, hey, we got the benefit of having a good player drop down the board.
Yeah, certainly did. All right, we get back. Obviously, more Sixers, more Eagles talk. Can this be sustainable for the Sixers, their type of play last night? And does it need to be? Like, do they need to shoot 55% from the floor? Do they need to shoot 50% from 3? Do they need, they're not going to get a 50 burger every night, but do they need performances like that in order to beat the Knicks? Or is that just what happened last night? And they're from me 610 Friday as we get and Knicks will go back at it again on Sunday. Philly's out in San Diego. You know, Ray said, I want to go to a Phillies game, so I'm just going to go out to San Diego and go to a couple Phillies games out there, as Tom Alvord shakes his head in disgust.
It's a nice life he lives.
Is he made of money? Or
A life of luxury.
Yeah, that's what it appears to be, right?
Because then he'll come back and he'll go to 3 Phillies games next week at home. So
yeah,
that's right done for you.
When he tries to explain to me how he does it, I don't understand it, but you know, whatever. All right, so listen, I got to answer somebody on tweets on Twitter. Mike Scanlon calling me out a little bit, talking about the Joel Embiid thing, saying, "Can you now?" Let me try to get this here. He's talking about last week. So on Monday, we came in and we talked to Keith Pompey, and we were told that Joel Embiid came out of the showers with a towel on while reporters were in the locker room and had sunglasses on. I think my reaction was somewhere to, like, what is going on here? Like, what is that? And then Keith had said that he saw him with sunglasses on other places. So Mike Scanlon questions me, hey, Bob, are you going to continue to poke fun at Embiid for wearing glasses last night like you have the entire week? I said, I think it was more curious as to what was going on than poking fun. I thought it was strange that we didn't know why he was wearing these sunglasses. We couldn't find out. And then he says, you and Amy were giggling, talking about the eye after the first 2 games. It's okay to wonder, but don't backtrack now. I'm not backtracking. If I giggled, it was in curiosity. It was in strangeness. It was, why is this happening? We find out just last night that it's Bell's palsy, and we wish him the best. I thought it odd more that we couldn't find out what was going on and all of the things that was happening. Now we know. Like, he's dipping his head in the press conference after the game, Bill, game 2 in New York. He didn't want people to see what he was going through. I respect that.
Yeah, he said he didn't want it to be a distraction to his teammates. I have a lot of respect for Joel. I had respect for him simply battling back from the knee injury, and then back out after halftime, I had a lot of respect, and now you know he's also battling this. And you heard Maxey talk about it, his presence alone, and he took over the game last night, putting up 50 points. But Sunday's going to be fun. I mean, 1 o'clock on Sunday, it's a big game, a big game. I mean, really, you could probably make the argument, Bob, whoever wins on Sunday is the favorite to win the series, don't you think?
It depends on the game to me. Yeah. Like, if the Sixers win a game that maybe they shouldn't have, a la Knicks game 2, maybe I say, ooh, man, are they going to be able to take one of these games? They have to win in New York. They have to win at the Garden. One of these games, they have to win at the Garden. I feel good after last night. I would love to feel really good after Sunday's game to say, yeah, they're playing the type of ball now that you can just go up there and get a win. So do you feel like the Sixers took command of this series last night? Or did they just win game 3 at home? Was this the game that they were going to win? Did this now turn into a series? How do you feel about it all? Good game 3 win last night. It was chippy. It was ugly. But you got the performance that I laid out earlier of 50% shooting, more than that, 55% shooting from the floor, 50% shooting from 3. All of those things coming into effect. And Sam in Philly wants to talk about it a little bit. Sam, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas?
Hey, Sam.
You can't lean on and early in the playoffs. I think the others just got to step up. Tobias, we really just need Tobias. Like, he can't be getting out, you know, just in terms of the points and rebounds. I mean, Josh Hart's a great dude, but we expect greatness from Tobias too. So I just think it falls on the others.
Do we? Do we expect greatness from Tobias?
I mean, if we paying him that much money, yeah.
Well, I've said it before, and thanks so much for the call, Sam. Once you put 5 guys on the floor in the NBA, to me, just to me, I'm not looking at, how much do you make? How much do you make? Like, he needs to just play basketball.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Tobias was going to be a max deal guy. I know that's what he's paid, but it's just not who he is, and I don't think he ever will be. And Tobias is an easy target when we talk about offensively. Yeah, I want more from him as well, but we can't deny, Bob, he's been playing pretty well on the defensive side.
Yes, he has been playing I thought his defense in the last 3 minutes of game 2 against Jalen Brunson was phenomenal. It's not easy. Like Tobias stuff. He doesn't score. He doesn't do this. Hardest thing to do. To me, swallow pride and go shut down their best offensive player. Like, you're making all this money and everybody's talking about it, and you're proving yourself on the defensive end. Sorry, that deserves more than a golf clap from me. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just when you're watching the games, and you know a lot more about basketball than me. So when you're watching the games and maybe you don't know that much about basketball, it's easy to see him missing that layup.
Sure.
It's easy to see him missing that shot, and you don't appreciate necessarily what he's doing outside of scoring.
Yeah, great point by you, and you see it too. We all see it. I mean, it doesn't take a special eye to see, like, oh my God, what is this guy doing? But I do. I find it pretty cool. The talk around him, with the money talk, with all that. You got to shoot more. You got to make baskets. That he's playing his ass off at the defensive end. That shouldn't be overlooked. Scott Morrington, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Scott?
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. How about you?
All right. So you posed the question, do the Sixers have to play that game? Is it a series now? And so on. The first thing that we have to do is we have to figure out some type of formula for at the end of the game, full court pressure that they put on us that somehow we melt. I'm not sure what it is that they're doing, how they do it, but it just seems like no matter how much of a lead we that somehow they pressure us. And like we had to call 2 timeouts last night, just to get out of it. Why is it so hard? Everyone, of course, has to step up. I'm excited that Melton was available, although campaign was just a ton of energy. I think it's the series now, and I think Sunday is going to dictate how it goes.
I posed this question last night, Scott, before we were doing the pregame show, to a couple of people off the air. So I'll pose it to you now that it's 2-1. Safe to say, or not, just give your answer to this. Whoever wins on Sunday wins the series?
Oh, heck yeah.
Really?
I mean, yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. If New York were to win this series there's no way that we're going to win. It's unlikely that any team would win 3. I'm just saying, statistically speaking.
Right.
And I think if we win on Sunday, then we have imposed their will. They're going to go back and say, okay, you know what? All we have to do is hold home court. But we showed them that we can win. But then it comes down to that at the end of the game and the 50-50 balls that Nick Nurse was talking about. We have to win them.
Yeah. No, great point, Scott. Thank you. But you have capable bowlers in. The thing against presses is you got to get angles. You have to have proper passing angles, proper passing lanes, and you have to make your L cuts. It can't just be straight the ball. And
seeing that the Sixers have struggled against that press earlier.
Question: can you have Jalen Brunson going 4 minutes, Josh Hart going 45 minutes, and pretty much not using your bench hardly at all? That's a big ask, don't you think?
It is. I mean, and because of how physical of a series it's been, too.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
It takes a lot out of these guys to try to do it. But, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea for Thibodeau to try it earlier to see if maybe he can get a couple turnovers.
Yeah, and you know what I love, too? Nick Batum, covering Jalen Brunson, he often picks not exuding a lot of energy. I've talked about this before. It's not like he's running all around and trying to stick with them, but he's just like a nuisance. And then, maybe Brunson beats him back to the ball, and then he'll bring the ball up. But it's just like that little pain in the ass thing, the intangible. That's what I love about Nick Batum. It's just things like that.
I do as well, and that's why I liked. If you look at Game 1, I think Tobias Harris played more minutes than any other quarter. Game 2, they had Batum out there. Batum played the entire 12 minutes. I love that. Down the stretch, I want a veteran like him who does all those little things. So let's hope they continue that.
He's like that security blanket. I love that. And you know who else is like a security blanket? Karate Mark. Karate Mark, what's going on, buddy?
Gentlemen, good morning. What a great day. The weather's beautiful. Amazing night of Philadelphia sports. And last night, Knicks fans, and this upcoming Sunday, y'all are welcome. Y'all are welcome to come to South Philly, the Wells Fargo Center. I'd be hypocritical to say that they're not welcome.
Right.
Us Philadelphians, we travel across the country with the best of them. So please, wear your jerseys, cheer for your team, buy the seats, however you may get them. Section 111, not on my watch. And I tattled. Because it says on the screen, if you see ... any of these, please report them.
You were a tattler last night, Mark?
I'm not going to throw something back. I'm not going to yell and scream. I'm not going to curse. I'm going to raise my hand in security and point and say,
oh, did the guy get thrown
got him
out?
Kicked out. Yes, got him kicked out. So if I on him, I'm tattling on my... Not on my watch, buddy. 2-1. Let's go!
Good stuff.
I'll see you down there Sunday, Mark. Thanks so much for the call. So Mark and his wife Alicia come up last night, right, to say hi to us while we're doing the broadcast, as they do many, many times. Mark's met my family, and he's such a good dude. I didn't know this until last night, though. I'm talking to Alicia, and she said something like casually about earplugs and blah, 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 blah. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. Earplugs? She goes, yeah, I wear a huge one in my left ear because Mark sits on my left, and I wear a smaller one in my right ear because that's how loud he is. Karate Mark is like the best. He really is the best definition of a fan. Now, you're going to have your opinion on tattling or whatever, but they're coming near your wife. There's two ways you're going to go about it. One, you're going to approach the guy, and you don't want Karate Mark approaching you, or he's going to do what they ask you to do. Tell a security guard and see what happens.
Yeah, he did the right thing. Being there last night, I didn't love that there were all those Knicks fans in the building, but I said this after the game. It almost felt like an NCAA tournament game because it was when the Knicks would do something, you did hear a lot of cheers.
Yeah.
And then when the Sixers, it was kind of a cool atmosphere to start the game with the back and but let's hope there's going to be more Sixers fans on Sunday. I'm just nervous that a lot of Knicks fans will make that trip down the turnpike.
Yeah, they could. On a Sunday, you made a great point that, that's an easier day to come to a game. I was surprised. I got there early, a few hours before the game, and the amount of Knicks people I saw milling around, gets you a little concerned, like, oh, no, I don't want to hear that. But all worked out. Great Sixers win. Okay, when we get back, we'll talk to you more about this Sixers win last night, maybe dive a little deeper into the X's and O's of it. Also, where do the Eagles go from here? You get more picks going on today and for the rest of the weekend. I want Bill's opinion on what's going to happen with Howie Roseman and company when it comes to making some more draft picks. Bill Colarulo's here all day with us. Bob Cooney, middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Hope you're having a great, great Friday. Bill, you ever forget to do stuff and you just want to, punch yourself in the head?
Try not to do that.
I know. I'm so bad at things. You get a text. Well, I forgot to do something, so it's going to have to wait till the break. Anyway, talking about these Philadelphia 76ers, we're in the back area talking to the guys back there, and I say, oh, wait till you take this next call. You're going to love this one. So we'll go to Keith and Devin. Keith, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's happening?
Not much. I just wanted to go through. I've been, following this for a while, and I think this season really shows more so than ever. I just think that Embiid is the 5 letters, and you can't spell the Sixers. 5 letters of them is come from Embiid. He's the franchise. I don't have a problem. Not enamored. I think he's a good ball player, maybe a 3. But I think if you take Embiid out of this team, this is a lottery pick team. I'm
not going to say no question, but yeah, is anybody arguing with you on that?
No, I just don't think we hear it enough. He is a couple of times in the past we questioned whether he was tough enough and all those other things. I think we've passed that now. I think it's just a time just to appreciate what we have, because we haven't had anything even close to Embiid in this city. Iverson. I was at every game. I had season tickets for Iverson. Great Embiid. There's just there's a difference between Iverson. It felt like the little guy was carrying things. Embiid can move mountains.
Yeah, he's having that type of a season. So you don't like Maxey as a number 2 to an Embiid number 1?
No, I think he's a 3. I think they need to go out and get a number 2. A number 2 is, hey, Embiid's out. This is a 550, 600 club or a 500 ball club. That's a number 2. You can't make a number 2 can carry the team. I mean, and I'll give you an example. I didn't like Harden, but Harden could carry the team when Embiid was away.
Yeah, that's fair enough, Keith, and thanks. Appreciate the call. We talked about it on these airwaves, and I don't know, maybe Bill and you and I were together at one point. It's hard for a small scoring guard to carry a team. I mean, it just is. They can be a great player. He brought up Harden. Well, Harden's 6'5" and has multiple facets to his game. I said it when Embiid went out that it's just really difficult for a smaller guard to carry a team in the NBA. Rarely do you see it.
Yeah, but, I think we're also ignoring the fact that Tyrese Maxey's 23 years old and in his 4th season.
There's that. Isn't that nice?
You're going to give him some time to grow a little bit. He just got his first Most Improved Player award. Who knows what he can grow into?
Yeah, I'm not complaining about Tyrese Maxey at all, especially today. I love that kid. I love what he's doing. But he made a good point that, maybe you do need a number 2, and if Maxey becomes your number 3, so-called whatever, boy, that would be a great luxury, wouldn't it? Huh. If you could find somebody to plug in that you can count on more than Tyrese Maxey and just after Joel Embiid, well, yeah, you're probably talking championships here in Philadelphia. So maybe they'll find it this summer. I don't know.
Yeah, as we we're going to say, it's going to be this summer. It's not going to be before Sunday. So we're focused on Sunday afternoon.
That's right.
The offseason.
That's exactly right. All right, Bill. With your Philadelphia Eagles as they pick at number and number 53, with a corner already being taken, which we talked about yesterday a lot. That I think we had a poll here, and that the leading it wasn't our show, but on who the Eagles were going to take, not specific, but position, was corner. So what do you do now, Bill? What do you think? It doesn't matter what you're going to do. What are the Eagles going to do, right?
So for the first round, I thought if they stayed at 22, which is what I wanted them to do, that they would take an offensive lineman. I thought that would be the best value there. That would be the best player available. But the draft board lined up that they were able to get the best corner in the draft, arguably. So I'm happy with that pick. But now going into the second round, as much as I wanted to see them take an offensive lineman in round 1, I don't want to see them do that now, because I don't think you're going to be able to get a tackle, a potential tackle that could take over for Lane Johnson here in the second round. So I want to see them go linebacker and tight end. If they stay at 50 and 53, let's get that linebacker. Let's get that tight end. I don't know if they can stay there. I don't know if Junior Colson or Edgerrin Cooper will be there at 50. But if they are, or even if they had to move up a little bit to get one of those guys, man, it'd be an exciting move to bring in a stud linebacker. You added Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You did bring in Bryce Huff. I'm still not happy about the Hassan Reddick trade, but I guess we can't be greedy. If they get one of those linebackers, man, I'm going to be fired up on Saturday morning for the show. You're going to want to tune in for that one.
Yeah, that would be wild. And so tight end, I agree with you. I think they have to get a tight end because, you have Dallas Goedert and really nothing back behind him. What kind of tight end would you look for? I mean, it sounds honest on that one.
Roseman and the Eagles have done a good job finding tight ends in the second round. Dallas Goedert was a second round. The guy I like is Jatavian Sanders out of Texas. The guy is
you've said him before.
And he was someone that me and Andrew DeCecco have spoken about at length on our Birds Insider specials. He's a pass-catching threat. He's a little bit raw, but he's an athlete. And if he can grow into that position, which he would have time to do behind Dallas Goedert, I think he could be an absolute stud in this league. So if they could get Sanders out of Texas, I'd be fired up.
There's been a lot of talk and even a story today in the back page of the Daily News about Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and I think he's going to get more hyped up here in Philadelphia simply because of the name. Or maybe people are just saying, no, I don't want him at all because, it's Trotter's son and people overrate him. Where does he rate about, Bill? Like, what kind of a linebacker could he be in the NFL?
So everything I see on him, everything I read on him is that he's going to go in the third round, that he's not going to be a second-round pick. Everybody hears the name Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and they think he's going to be like his father. He's not. He's not built like him. He doesn't play the game like him. He's more similar to a Nakobe Dean. That's why I don't really want Jeremiah Trotter Jr., as great of a story as it would be. I want a guy like a Junior Colson who has the strength and the size to play in the NFL. I'm just not sure Jeremiah Trotter Jr., and you pair him up with Nakobe Dean, you got two undersized linebackers.
Yeah. Before we hit a break here, are you confident that he can step in and be a starter on this team next year? Is it bad luck that has hindered him from getting out there, or is that still very much a question mark in your mind?
I don't think there's anybody who could say that they're confident in Nakobe Dean. We only saw him play 34 snaps as a rookie. He barely played last year. They anointed him as the starter. They gave him the green dot, and he just couldn't stay on the field. And even when he was on the field, it was up and down. So we don't know what we have in Nakobe Dean. We're all hopeful that he could be the guy he was at Georgia, and the guy he was at Georgia was impressive. He was the leader on one of the best defenses we've ever seen in NCAA history with that Georgia Bulldogs defense, and he was the alpha on that defense.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that maybe he could be that guy. We just haven't seen it, and that's why you look at the linebacker position, it's still a major question mark on this team. Even with the Devin White acquisition, another question mark. He's had some up and down seasons as well. So, hey, if they could get a guy in the second round, a Junior Colson, an Edgerrin Cooper, I'm all for it.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun today. I love the weekends of the NFL draft. It's like you're just, you can turn it on. It seems like it's on 24/7.
Well, that's why it was bittersweet for me and you last night, because we're in the building at the Sixers game doing pregame and postgame, and it was a great environment. But at the same time, we had our eyes on our phones saying, what's going on with the draft? What's going on with the draft?
Yeah, it was a pretty good night last night, and getting the wins that you did, including the Phillies, beating the Reds, shutting their second series theirs. They head to San Diego tonight. They're going to catch up with Ray, who I think he got on our YouTube board earlier and was saying what? He was out, I think he was drinking Coronas at 7 a.m. California time. So good on Ray. Don't expect a lot from him on Monday, but we don't expect a lot from him really any time at all.
Regardless.
So, yeah, we got Tom Alvord. That's all that matters. All right, when we get back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this. Sixers win last night. How they won. I want to talk about style of play. I want to talk about the style of play in this series. Do you feel comfortable that the Sixers can win the series playing this way? Maybe you do. Maybe you feel great about it. Or, as someone said to me last night, he doesn't like the way the Knicks dumb down the game an awful lot, and the Sixers are playing to their style. We'll talk about all that, a whole lot more. We got Bill Colarulo here. I want to let you know also that the 11 o'clock hour is sponsored by Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Hope you're having a great Friday. Lot to talk about today, as we have a lot of callers on the line. We got Eagles talk, Sixers talk. Can't forget about those Phillies. I'm going to give you their starters' numbers over like the last, I think it's 11 games. I'll give them to you later on. You are going to be astonished about how good this, is that what a word, astonished?
That's a good word.
Yeah, okay. How good this starting pitching has been for the Philadelphia Phillies of late. I turned on the game yesterday when I had the sound down because I'm listening to the best show ever. And I noticed a couple guys on base against Zach Wheeler. Have it today. Had to do some errands and stuff like that, stuff around the house. Get back to settling in. And I'm saying he's only given one hit. He goes on a scoreless. He's on a scoreless string now, much like Ranger Suarez. 6 innings of no-run ball yesterday for Zach Wheeler. They are just fun to watch, this pitching staff right now, so we'll see if it keeps up. All right, Bill, the question I wanted to pose to you is this. Are you comfortable with the style of play in this series, 76ers versus New York Knicks, the Sixers can come out of a series being played like this?
You talking about how physical it's been?
Physical, sometimes slowness, the way New York likes to control the kind of style altogether. I think the Sixers have battled it a little bit. But they showed last night, they scored 125 points. They played a little bit more downhill last night. Yeah, do you think if the Knicks kind of control this series and the slowness that it's been so far, that the Sixers can come out of it?
I do, and I think you saw it a little bit more last night. They were pushing their offense a little bit better. They started winning on the glass with the rebounding. They're getting a little bit more from their bench. I mean, the concern I had, and a lot of us had with this Knicks series, was even if the Sixers get out of it, how banged up are they going to be for the next series? But they caught a lucky break because I don't want to look ahead too far. But if they get past the Knicks, I like their chances against either the Pacers or the Bucks in the next round. So it's going to be a physical series. It's not an ideal situation with Joel banged up. They showed last night, putting up as many points as they did, 125 points, 43 in the third quarter, that their game they can win.
Yeah, I look at it. I think these are two very good teams. And you brought up another series, and I like to watch series and say, how well are these two teams playing? I'll say this. I think whichever team comes out of this Knicks-Sixers series is going to be playing some pretty good basketball because they're going to have beaten a pretty good opponent on the other side. Steve in Northeast Philly wants to talk some Eagles. Steve, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on?
My favorite radio show. How's it going?
Oh, good. Thank you very much. Everything's great. How about you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. First point I wanted to get to was about the draft last night. This kid, Mitchell, I didn't really know too much about him. I was happy with the pick. It's not that I wasn't happy. I just didn't know much. So I kind of, for the last, 12 hours or so, been bringing myself around to the pick, trying to get some more knowledge on him from other people, and I'm coming around a little bit on it.
Okay. Yeah, I think anytime a guy plays in the MAC, you're kind of like, oh, who did he go up against?
That was my thing. But I had read he said that he did have bigger offers coming out of high school, but he had problems with his grades and maybe some other stuff. And he said Toledo stuck it out with him through the recruiting process, so he decided to stick with them.
And I like that he was loyal to them. And Nick Saban said he was their number one guy coming out of the portal, but he never entered the portal. So, yeah, there's a loyalty thing there, too.
He's got the measurables. He's got the statistics. It was just, like you said, with the MAC. Number two, the Sixers. We got to take both in Philly, tie this series up. You know what I mean? Embiid's absolutely incredible, putting up 50 points with half a face and the stuff he's going through. I can't even. But I'm going to nitpick at him a little bit, Bob, to be honest with you. And I know, that this isn't knocking Embiid Day, but I'm going to nitpick a little bit about something.
Okay.
So the play where he falls to the floor and decides to grab Mitchell Robinson by both of his ankles really got under my skin, to be honest.
You both, Steve. You might not have heard the beginning of the show. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think I missed it. Dude's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's incredible, but, that's not leader-like, man. That's not alpha-like. You can't be doing that. You could have ruined that guy's career. And don't get me wrong, screw the Knicks. I'm Philly sports through and through, but I wish that on Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean?
It's exactly how I opened the show, Steve. I don't like that play. I don't mind physical play. Cheap play, there's no place for it. I think if we sat down Joel Embiid, and maybe he will, I think he would say the same thing, that he shouldn't have done that. Thanks so much for the call, Steve. Really appreciate it. But, yeah, that's a little bit of a black mark. Those things happen. We all lose our cool at times and probably do things that we don't want to do, say things we don't want to say. That happens. That's human nature. That was a mark on Joel Embiid last night, in my eyes, in Steve's eyes. Pushing, shoving, I don't mind that. That happens in sports contests. But cheapness, nah, there shouldn't be any place for that. And that was, that was uncalled for, I thought.
You said that right away. I do love the aggressiveness, but you don't want him to be dirty. And the other point of the call was talking about Quinyon Mitchell, and he didn't know about him because he played in the MAC. I just did a quick search to see all of the all-pro cornerbacks from last season in the NFL. All pros. Listen to some of these colleges that they came out of, Bob. So you have Jalen Johnson, who's one of the best. He went to Utah, so they played probably some better competition, but not an SEC school there. Charvarius Ward, Middle Tennessee State. Teron Johnson played his college ball at Weber State. He's a slot corner for the Bills. Deron Bland, Sacramento State and Fresno State. Sauce Gardner played at Cincinnati. So, I mean, it's not as if all of these guys who were all pros all went to Alabama or Clemson or some of these big schools that, hey, people looked at Nate Wiggins. Hey, he went to Clemson. You looked at Terrion Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry. Hey, they went to Alabama. Well, look at the all pros from last year.
Yeah, no, it's a great point that you make. There's going to be some trepidation to fans when they hear Howie Roseman talk about, well, he might have played in the MAC, but he looked really good, down at the Senior Bowl and all that, because then it becomes like you close your eyes and you see Mike Mamula, who fascinated them at the Combine and stuff like that. I am not making that comparison. I don't know from what everybody says, and we played Nick Saban cuts, and he really likes that kid. He wanted him to come to Alabama, so that's pretty good enough for me.
Yeah, and what I like is, and I compared it earlier, saying a lot of fans are talking about Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. What I like is that this was the first cornerback taken off the board. So it wasn't as if the Philadelphia Eagles tried to outsmart people or the corners that they really wanted had already been drafted. Just the way the draft board set up. A run on quarterbacks. There was a run on offense. It was for offensive players drafted, and they just got extremely lucky that this kid fell to them at 22. And during the break, I listened to the Philadelphia Eagles put out on their Instagram the phone calls that were made, which are always awkward.
That's so awkward.
Howie Roseman talked to him, and then Nick Sirianni spoke to him. But then they gave the phone to Jeffrey Lurie, and Jeffrey Lurie says, "We never thought we'd be able to get you at 22." He said that to him. So, I mean, they were shocked, and they were happy, and I love the move.
Yeah. The phone calls, I could do without them, but I do like the move. Uncle Frank is going to talk quickly and succinctly today. I can feel it. Uncle Frank, how are you, buddy?
Let's go. Happy Festive Friday, friends.
You too, buddy.
All right. Here we go. Oh, by the way, that's Thibodeau's a trip, isn't he?
Not a huge fan, yeah.
He's got a snarky personality, I'll tell you, like a damn velociraptor.
Did you say snarky?
Snarky.
Oh, snarky. Okay. You are Coach Quote, so I just want to make sure I got that right.
Yeah, he's got anyway, like a velociraptor. So I love the way Batoon plays defense, and you're right, Bobby. He hounds him, picks almost the whole court, and he's got such great length defensively. And you know what? Let Bronson get his. I mean, he's a prolific scorer anymore. Just don't let anyone else hurt you, right? Now, so the two is, I know Tobias has been playing good defense at stretches, not for whole games, but am I asking too much out of him to score me 14, 15, 16 points? I don't think so.
Maybe, though.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be when that's his average, right? I mean, that's what he averages. He's like a 16, 17-point-a-game guy. Why you're not getting it now? Yeah,
right.
You can ask for it, Frank.
My man. All right, look, enjoy the weekend.
Buddy, thanks, Uncle Frank. Much appreciated.
But let me ask you, Bob. So he says, am I asking too much for 14 points from Tobias? And the reason why I say you may be is what he's doing on the defensive side. You know, what is that taken away from his offensive game at all? It shouldn't be necessarily, but is it?
I'm sure in some facet it is. Okay, you're at the offensive end. You know Sixers have the ball. Tobias Harris knows that he has to pick up Jalen Brunson defensively. Is he looking out last 4, 5, 6 seconds of a shot clock to see where Brunson is to know he has to get over to him? I don't know. Is it physically taking a lot out of him to have to run around against a guard? Maybe. But, you know, I mean, you're 85 games into a season and you've played an awful lot of basketball. I would think you could be able to figure it out. I mean, it's taken away their offense because they have to play defense. Why is that a thing now, Bill?
Yeah, you're right. It's an we make for these guys at times. But I just, look, we've talked about this before. We're going to need Tobias if the Sixers are going to go on a run. They need him to contribute. But I'm not expecting 15 points from Tobias Harris. I've just given up expecting it. I'm not even asking for it anymore. I want that from Kelly Oubre. I wanted more. I mean, we haven't spent a lot of time talking about Buddy Hield today because he only played 4 minutes because of how well Campaign's played. Are you kidding me, Bob? I mean, this guy's had more three-pointers than anyone in the NBA in the last few seasons outside of Steph Curry, and he has 0 through 3 games with the New York Knicks.
And he had one of those shots last night. I think you and I were standing next to each other. He was open on the left wing. They got him the ball. He was open. I'm not saying like the C part of it, he was open, but he had a good look. He went up in the way that I've talked about so many times that you say, yep, he's going to make that 8 times out of 10. If he just has a standstill where he goes straight up and has a shot there, that's going in.
I had my hands up in the air.
You did. That's
because
right.
I was like, here it comes. Here's Buddy Hield's first three-pointer in playoff history.
No. Yeah, it just didn't happen. But, you know, expecting stuff in the playoffs. I expect Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey to be great. I expect Jalen Brunson to score points. You know, you can go down the line there. But there is so much unexpected. Like we talked on pregame last night, is DeAnthony Melton, whose minutes is he going to take away? Well, it turns out Nick Nurse didn't trust it enough to go to DeAnthony Melton last night. But one of the questions we put out there, and I don't know if it was me or you or D, was that do we think Cam Payne is going to get any run tonight? We said this yesterday. And I think most of us are like, yeah, probably not. And now he goes out there and gets you 11 points in 16 minutes. Like, that's the greatness of sports. You just don't know. And what a spark plug he was for them last night.
He was, and I would assume with Nick Nurse, Cam Payne just earned some more minutes in Game 4 on Sunday. Plug, especially in that second quarter. What do you have, 8 points, I think, in the second quarter? That's when he was hitting those shots and firing up the crowd. And that was a big turning point in that game, keeping it close. They go down at halftime, but because of Cam Payne, that was close enough that they were able to come out in that third quarter for the lead and never relinquishing it, I don't think.
I described it earlier, and I don't know if hopefully you know what I meant, and I wanted to ask you more. Didn't you think he had loud points last night?
Cam?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, you could feel it down there. Like, those were loud points. Like, yeah, he got another one. And, yeah, some guys can score 11 points in a game and it'd be like, oh, okay, they double figures, 11 points. He had 11 loud points to me last night.
That's a great point. He really did. I mean, the place was erupting, too. The bench was going nuts, and the moment didn't seem too big for Cam Payne last night, that's for sure.
No, he was right there. It was pretty cool. Mark in Newtown Square wants to talk Eagles draft. You're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Mark?
Hey, what's up, Bob? What's up, Bill? How you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, no, I love the pick last night. I think got like he's a number 1 corner written all over him. I guess he'll start week 1, right? Day 1, week 1.
I don't know. I asked Bill that earlier. I'm not real sure about that.
It's possible, but they do have a lot of pieces in that cornerback room right now that I don't think he's going to have to start week 1 game.
So when you're a first-round corner, that should be a flagship player that you can just plug and play, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Or is it a case that you might have 3 or 4 corners that are also capable of starting there for the rookie? You want to maybe ease them in a little bit. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out yet.
Yeah, we just have random pieces, though, at corner. Like Keely Ringo's like a 4th-rounder. Then you got Eli Ricks. He's undrafted. So you got all kinds of, like misfit pieces. Then you got Isaiah Rodgers coming off suspension. So it's like all this, like, grabbing at straws type of thing. Whereas this dude is, like, bona fide. I mean, like, this guy's going to probably be has Pro Bowl caliber talent written all over him.
Here's hoping, Mark, from your mouth to the NFL God's ears. Let's hope it happens, and thanks so much for the call. What do you think the chances are that he's an opening day starter?
And Mark makes a good point. When you take a guy in the first round, especially a player that was projected to go very high in the first round, yeah, you expect him to maybe start week 1, game 1. But what I love is I think there's going to be a lot of competition at training camp for who that other starter is. I think Darius Slay is guaranteed to be the one starter on the outside. Everything that I've read about Quinyon Mitchell is he doesn't really play slot corner. He is an outside corner. So your slot corner between Avonte Maddox and Zach McPherson, who's coming back from his Achilles tear last year. And I Rodgers, who got reinstated, didn't play a lot in the slot either in Indianapolis, but a lot of people think he can project at slot corner. And we also know Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at safety has the capability and versatility to slide down and play some slot corner. So that's going to be that competition. So now on the other side, the other outside corner, it's going to be a battle between Keely Ringo, Quinyon Mitchell, and you also have James Bradbury. But I don't think Bradbury's going to be his contract again. I think that he probably gets cut in training camp unless he surprises everybody, shows up to camp, and is somehow the guy he was in 2022.
Yeah, they have a plethora of corners, that's for sure. And you know what else we have a plethora of today? Soft pretzels, because today is National Soft Pretzel Day. Super Pretzels, Soft Pretzels was nice enough. They dropped off a ton of pretzels for us with Super Soft Pretzels. Snack time, it's anytime. They're running a special on Instacart for National Soft Pretzel Day. Today, April 26th, customers can receive free Super Pretzel Bites, soft sticks, or original twists while supplies last. No code needed. So that was nice to walk into the office today and see a bunch of pretzels. Bill got a hat. It's a trucker hat. That is a pretty good one.
This is going to be my new favorite hat from Super Pretzel.
I got a pair of socks because my kids all wear crazy socks. Everybody except my daughter. My boys all wear the crazy socks. They're all over the place. You remember Tommy Pickles from Rugrats?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My son had those socks on yesterday with Tommy Pickles. That was one of my favorite cartoons when my kids were growing up. I loved the Rugrats. But so nice of Super Pretzel, Soft Pretzels to stop in and take care of us today. Okay, we get back. A lot of you are holding on to want to talk about Sixers, want to talk about Eagles. That's awesome. I'm going to give you some numbers about this Phillies starting pitching group that are going to make you feel pretty good about this team. Bill Colarulo's here with us all day long. This is Midday Show. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Career night for Embiid. I'm Tom Alborn. This update is brought to you by Macy's Back.
hat and got the player he wanted. Beautiful, because your Philadelphia Phillies won yet again. All right, Bill, I got to throw these numbers out there because I've been teasing it all day long. You ready for this?
Let's hear it.
You're a little used to it because I've been doing this every once in a while behind closed doors. And that doesn't sound right, but it's just one of those things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In the last 10 games, this is what your starting pitchers have done for the Philadelphia Phillies. In 65 and 2/3 innings, they've given up 32 hits, 5 earned runs, 18 walks, 72 strikeouts. You know what that comes out to an ERA of? Everybody's going to like this number. How about .69?
Jeez.
A .69 ERA over 10 games by your Phillies starting pitching. It's been fun to watch. It's almost like they're challenging each other.
It is.
Oh, yeah, you went 6 and gave up an earned run. I'm going to go 7 and give up none. And it's fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch.
It's a lot of fun. And you talk about those starters. One of them may not even be in the rotation in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
With Spencer Turnbull, they may have Taijuan Walker taken back over.
Yeah,
this Sunday, Taijuan Walker set to start. So not even a couple weeks.
Wow. I didn't realize it was that soon.
In his last 2 outings, Turnbull's gone 12 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 14 strikeouts. And he gets to go to the bench because you're going to go to Taijuan Walker. But those are the things that happen. This is baseball. You never know.
It's like we're in Atlanta.
And Glavin and those guys all over again. John in Tom's River's been holding on. I'll get to him. John, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Bob. Hey, Bill. Hey, Tom. Happy Victory Friday.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I want to talk for a second about, fan courtesy. Let me tell you guys something. I've been to games all over the country. Me and my old man, we drove out to Kansas City for the Monday night game with the Eagles. The way the Knicks fans behave, they were saying horrible things about Embiid, calling him a crap MVP, calling the city of Philadelphia a crap city. It would never in a million years to go up to the Garden or the Boston Garden and say Boston or New York City were crap cities. And, man, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like, I'm all for other fans traveling. That's great that you're such a fan that you want to go see your team play in another place. Come with attitude. Like,
yeah, I mean, cheer on your team. Don't denigrate the players. Don't denigrate the city. Don't say horrible things about the fans. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there were some cases, and thanks so much, John. I told you the story about the guy I was sitting with standing talking to Karate Mark last night. A Knicks fan comes over and like pushes his poster over as he's walking by. Like, really? And as I said earlier, Karate Mark could have done damage with a pinky on that guy, but he didn't. A guy walking past us while we're doing our broadcast and turns his back and gives us the finger behind the back. Like, really, man?
Yeah, I don't want to pretend like Philly fans are all angels. I mean, we've had our fair share.
Most of them are.
Yeah, we've had our fair share of issues with a few fans, but I don't expect anything less from Knicks fans after what we saw at Madison Square Garden. I mean, we didn't really talk about it that much, but when Joel did get hurt in Game 1, there were a lot of cheers from the Knicks fans when he went down and was injured and couldn't get off the court. When he goes to the line, the chant that we can't say on the air that they say to Embiid. I mean, did we really expect them to come in here and
I mean, that's true. That's a good point. You're absolutely right. Tom, we've got some text messages on the text board today.
Yes, we do.
All right, what do we got?
We interested one first? Any preference?
Let's go Eagles first.
Let's go Eagles first. All right, we have an Eagles one here as soon as I can scroll over. This is Jim from Souderton. The MAC produces talent. Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Randy Moss, Khalil Mack, and Julian Edelman, all from the MAC conference. And then also no name here, and I'm not sure, Bill, how good you are with comps, but this guy asked, what pro cornerback can be compared to Quinyon Mitchell?
Interesting.
When I looked up, I'm not going to lie, I've heard Quinyon Mitchell's name only because of this draft and where that he might fall to the Eagles, all of that. I haven't seen in all the stuff that I've read on him any comp. Now, usually you can go somewhere, NFLdraft.com, something, whatever, and a lot of times they'll have a comp.
So it's interesting because I just go to NFL Draft as we're talking about it, and I wouldn't have made this comparison, but it's Steven Nelson is who NFL Draft profile is comparing him to, and we know Steven Nelson.
Former Eagle great.
He wasn't that great here.
Former Eagle, I'll agree with you.
In fact, he's the one who caused a little bit of a stir because he said it was bad for his mental health.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just recently.
I'll be honest, I don't love that necessarily as my number one corner draft in the last 2 decades in the first round. Steven Nelson, I think you can do a little bit better.
Yeah, I think so too when you look at but hey, listen.
No disrespect.
I always hate that too though when they compare players. I mean, we've talked about mock drafts and people not doing it, knowing what they're talking about, but when you get the comparisons to like all-time greats, like, oh yeah, this is the next TJ Watt or JJ Watt. It's like, all right, let's relax a little bit.
What else we got, Tom?
I got a couple Sixers ones here. We have no name here. Unfortunately, no problem with Joel shooting threes unless the entire rest of the team is also 20-plus feet from the basket. Someone needs to crash the boards. Otherwise, a missed three becomes almost an automatic turnover because no one is there for the rebound.
I would go against that on missed threes, you get long rebounds, and if you're crashing the board, the Knicks are the other way on the basket.
Yeah, I was just going to say, isn't the old saying, the longer the shot, the longer the rebound?
Yeah, absolutely that is. And so crashing a board on a three, I don't think is your best idea now.
Got another couple here for the Sixers. I love the Sixers. However, I think everyone is looking at the New York series too closely. Looking at the macro, even if the Sixers win and advance, do we think Embiid can win 4 more in the conference finals? We've been in this position every year in the playoffs, and it always leads to disappointment. Get another big and sit Embiid until the playoffs. I don't know what that means, but Doug Young in Collegeville.
Doug, no disrespect, but man, isn't that sports? Like, no, I'm not giving up on a season. No, I'm not going to watch because of in years past. No, I didn't think Campaign was going to come off the bench last night, let alone give you 11 big points. That's what sports is. You don't know what's going to happen. You can say you know what's going to happen because, they haven't got out of the second round in 3 years. Well, then don't watch. I don't know what to tell you. Don't watch. I like watching the competition of sports and to seeing something that I've never seen before. That's why I like watching it. If you're going to go on past judgment, what's happened in the happen, don't watch.
And I understand we're all traumatic stress about Joel, and you see him limping around and all that. Can he last? Can he last? In 3 games with the Knicks, he's averaging close to 39 minutes and close to 38 points. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? The guy's playing his butt off. I don't know. It's just, you're right, though. It was the same people, though, when Joel was having those record performances early in the regular season, hitting 70-point games, averaging the amount of points he was averaging, people saying, I'm not even paying attention. They're going to lose in the playoffs anyway. Come on, man. Enjoy what we're watching here. We're watching one of the best players we've ever had in a 76ers uniform, and he just dropped 50 points last night. Come on.
Yeah, you're missing something if you're talking about all of that. All right, 12 o'clock hour. It's brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. All right, Jimmy in South Philly has a subject that is very, very true, but we weren't going to do comparison of fans, but Jimmy has something to say about Philly fans. Jimmy, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on?
How you doing, gentlemen? Good afternoon.
Good.
Yeah, so I know, Mr. Cooney, thank you, and I won't get too deep into it. But a lot of, I'm listening a lot, and I travel a lot, the Eagles games and, 4-for-4 guy. And it's kind of like just reminded me a little bit of some Eagles fans behave at away games. Now, it's kind of like that type of fan, right? One year I was watching the Jets. And there was these Eagles fans, Jets weren't no good that year. And some of the stuff these Eagles fans were saying to these Jets fans were just, and I think it's a type of fan. It's not really a fan base, but it's everything's a teaching point, right? We could take a look in the mirror here.
How do you like, real quick, Jimmy, let me ask you this. How do you like what Karate Mark did? Did you hear what he said, what happened in his section?
Class, Philly guy, I've been listening to him for years.
Yeah.
And he's a class act, man. And, guys like you're going to say something when you see it happen, and you don't want it to escalate, but, when people are doing, stupid stuff. But Karate Mark, I mean, his hands are weapons, they're registered. So he's got to watch himself in public. He could really hurt someone. But, I mean, it's just, it's that New York thing, that Philly thing, that Boston thing, man. We have attitudes, right? And we go into a visiting stadium, we carry this bravado with us, and some people cross that line.
Yeah, no, I hear you, Jimmy. Thanks so much. Really appreciate the phone call. Yeah, everybody gets out of line. We know that. That society's changing in some way that it says, we're going to kick your ass, blah, 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 and then the game gets over. Good game, man.
Yeah.
And walk away.
Well, you know how we could fix all of this, Bob, on Sunday? Don't sell your tickets to Knicks fans, man. Let's be all Sixers fans in the building on Sunday afternoon.
I love it. I love it. Andrew in Allentown, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's going on, Andrew?
And I moved to Allentown, so I'm a Knicks fan, Cowboys fan. Anyway, compare fans and everything. Only thing I came to my mind was years ago. Didn't you guys have a jail in the bottom of the vet?
Yeah, that's right. See, that's what we knew how to handle those rowdy fans. You threw them behind bars.
Yeah, and then there was another story. A guy went to the game with his Cowboys gear on, drove down with his buddy. His buddy went to the bathroom. He never seen the guy again for like 2 days. He found him the next day in the hospital. He got jacked up in the bathroom.
No, that's
Right.
not true. What happened was he disappeared and became an Eagles fan. Thanks, Andrew. I'm not going to sit here and compare bad fan action. I'm just saying, like, we'd all love to keep it clean. Like, you root for your team. That's great. Everybody loves to talk smack. At the end of the day, you got to go home. You got to go to work. You got a family. I'm not throwing hands over you're rooting for a team or not. If you're ignorant and you hurt somebody we're with, well, then hopefully we're all classy, like Karate Mark. Let somebody know. Let them take care of it and move on.
And poor Andrew, man. He's been cheering for the Knicks and the Cowboys all this time, and they haven't won a damn thing. So, sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, that ain't easy. In Allentown. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think I've ever been to Allentown, as far as I remember. I heard it in a song a couple of times, but I've never been there. All right, when we get back, I want to play some more cuts for you from Joel Nurse, Tyrese Maxey. I want to get into the thoughts of them on their performance last night, particularly Joel Embiid, now that we find out the Bell's palsy in his face is really affecting him. And that's no fun. I've had friends that have it. That have had it. That is no fun whatsoever. All that and a whole lot more. Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a 76ers playoff update on 97.5 thefanatic.com.
on this great Friday. Great because of the sports, great because of the weather, great because my son's coming in tonight to visit for the weekend, even though it's a day delayed. Great because I'm getting a new fence put in my backyard today, Bill. That's always a lot of fun. I didn't get a lot of things when I was a kid, so when I get new things, even at my age now, I get excited.
Yeah, you know you're getting old when you're excited about a new fence, but I had one. I had one put in a couple months ago. I was just like you. Also great because you and I got to spend all pregame last night together. We watched the Sixers game together, the NFL draft together, and now we get to react to it on the air with all of you. So we still want to hear from everybody. 610-632-0975. How do you feel after the Sixers' big win? How do you feel after the big NFL draft? Philadelphia Eagles getting their guy at 22, Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah, now one of the questions I wanted to throw out there also in this hour, or in the 1 o'clock hour, but I'll do it now. I think we all expected the Sixers to win last night. Like, we went around the room. There was 4 of us last night for pregame, and all 4 of us said we thought the Sixers were going to win. The calls that we took yesterday, mostly everybody saying, yeah, they expected the same. I don't think anybody said they didn't expect them to win. And then I told you I made some phone calls on today's Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. I made some phone calls to people, basketball people, just saying, what do you think about this series? 9 out of the 11 said they thought it was going to be 2-2 leaving Philadelphia. I was like, okay. I'm not going to – I know exactly what's going to go on in this series. So they get the win last night. They get the win that many of us expected, predicted, however you want to say it. They got it, but do you feel better now that they really did get it about this series? Where is your confidence level in this series right now?
My confidence level is up because I told you on the pregame show that I thought they were going to win, but my biggest fear was that Jalen Brunson was going to have that 35, 40-point night and steal a victory. And the fact that he had 39 and the Knicks lose the game, I'm feeling really good because you still look, and I know we keep saying it, but Josh Hart, there's no way, right? There's no way that this can continue what he's doing every night.
It is amazing, isn't it? Goes up for 3, and you're thinking, okay, this is the part. This is where the Sixers don't run out on him because they're saying, look, the percentage has to swish and swish and swish. 3 games now, he's made 4 3-pointers in each game. He didn't do that all year long in the 81 games he played. That's to the texture that we had earlier, Tom. That's why you watch sports. That's why nothing is a given, because you have a guy that averaged 3.3 3-point attempts during the regular season, and now he's averaging 4 made in every game, 3 games in this series.
Yeah, so you expect him to come back down to earth, and you know who came back down to earth, like crashing down to earth last night? Dante DiVincenzo last night only puts up 5 points, 0 for 3 from beyond the arc, and a couple of air balls. And that's how you knew there was a lot of Sixers fans in the building. It wasn't all Knicks fans because the air ball chants were loud towards DiVincenzo.
Yeah, he didn't really ingratiate himself to Sixers fans last night. And we had one guy, we were in a suite for our company. There came over to blank boy, and I was like, oh, I don't complaining, and was really on this guy's nerves last night. And I don't remember him being like that at Villanova. I don't know, but he brought it to my attention, and then I watched the rest of the game, and I was like, wow, he does chirp a lot. But there was a lot of chirping going on from everybody in that game last night.
You talk about watching sports and what you love about it is I didn't dislike DiVincenzo as a player before this series. I didn't dislike Brunson or even Hartenstein. And now after 3 games, you can't stand them. That's the beautiful part of a playoff series.
I still can't stand Trae Young. Still can't, or John Collins.
Yeah, just because of what happened.
Like 3 years ago, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, when Ben Simmons refused to take the layup. Right? Wasn't that series?
Cody Ross. Yeah. We can't stand Cody. Remember him from San Francisco, had a hell of a series against the Phillies. Yeah, you're right. You build up this animosity, and it won't go away.
Yeah, over a 7-game series. And Tom just sent me a tweet from Daniel Ollinger. We were talking about Josh Hart coming back down to life. You may have seen this stat. Josh Hart did not have a single game during the regular season. He has 4 threes in every single game of the Sixers-Knicks series.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. text messages about the Sixers, Tom, that you said you wanted to get to? Or
do.
Are we?
Yes,
okay.
we do. Absolutely. So we got one here from Ray. Probably not Ray Dunn because it's actually a good point. One name I haven't heard much is Nick Nurse. We all know he is a great coach, but when was the last time we've seen so many in-game adjustments and different rotational players getting on the court giving us a spark? Campaign was the exact energy we needed off the bench. I love how he and Maxey attacking centers off the switch and not settling for threes. Also, the series is 2-1. I feel like we are 3-0, especially with the first decisive of the series.
I don't feel like they're 3-0. I mean, you can't deny that the Knicks have 2 wins there. It's a shoulda, coulda. Should have won that game 2, could have won that game 1, but you didn't. So you're still down 2. But he does make a good point. And when we come back at 1 o'clock, I am going to talk, because we're going to hear what he had to say after last night's victory. We'll get to the remaining texts that Tom has. If you have something on your mind you want to talk about, 610-632-0975. Bill Colorillo here. Bob Cooney, middays. We're here until 2 o'clock. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Top corner goes to the Birds. I'm Tom Alborn. This update is brought to you
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey, I want to tell you real quick, 1 o'clock hour is brought to you by Ferguson HVAC, Lyon, Conklin. Attention, HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supply for heating and cooling jobs. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. Again, Sixers get a win last night. Cut it to 2-1 against the New York Knicks. And we just had a texter that texted in a little bit ago that Tom read for us, in that they're saying we're not talking about Nick Nurse as much as we should, giving him the credit that we should. You know what? I kind of agree with that texter, because Nick Nurse has done a really good job in this series. We can see the bigger adjustments by the numbers. And, Bill, that goes from getting whacked in Game 1 on the boards to playing it even in Game 2 to actually winning the battle last night in Game 3. We've seen him use his bench in different ways. And last night it was Campaign who came off the bench and gave him 11 points in 60 minutes, a kid that only played 3 minutes the first 2 games combined in the series. Nick Nurse has done he's done for himself in this series so far. Bill, you agree?
I do, and he's not afraid to make changes. And I talked earlier, too. Game 1, you saw Tobias Harris get the most minutes in the fourth quarter. Well, last night, Nico Batum, 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. So he's not afraid to change things up to see what's working. And we said going into this series that we thought when it came to coaching. Now, I wish Nick Nurse would have been a little bit more aggressive with that timeout call in Game 2, but outside of that, I do like the adjustments.
So last night, Sixers down by a couple at half. I think it was, what was it? It was like 58, 55. I think they were down 3 at half. And post 43 points on the New York Knicks. 70 points altogether in the second against that Tom Thibodeau defense, but they scored 43 in the third quarter, and Nick Nurse was asked about that after the game.
Yeah, I mean, we played obviously in the third shots, which was, there for 2 wins, and we made a lot in our one tonight. So, but yeah, it was obviously an excellent offensive quarter. I thought we took a hell of a punch from them in the first half, because I thought they were playing fast and hard and really well, and we hung in there and able to kind of regroup there at halftime and do a little better job in the second half.
I swear I think I can hear the wheels spinning sometimes when he talks. Like, he's answering the question, but at the same time he's thinking, yeah, but, I could have done this. Should I have done that? I swear I think his mind is like, those wheels that just keep going round and round, Bill.
Yeah, and he's talking about the third quarter there. You look at the third quarter, Jalen Brunson goes 5 of 6 for over 83% and has 13 points. But Joel Embiid outperforms him, going 7 of 8, close to 88% from the field, 4 of 4 from the three-point line, and 18 points. That's why it was so huge, because Brunson, like we said, he had to work for it. They were playing still pretty good defense on Jalen Brunson, but he was hitting his shots, especially in that third quarter, and it just didn't matter with the Sixers outscoring him 43-27. Not all because, but a big part of Joel Embiid.
And if you want to, if you, like Ray, can't stand Tom Thibodeau, if you want to feel good about that, just think, Tom Thibodeau's team gave up 70 points last night. 70 points in the second half. That's pretty good. And a lot of it was effort. We had called for it. We wanted to see more physical. It seemed like the Knicks were bringing the physicality factor into the series a little bit more. But last night, Nick Nurse was asked about the rebounding, about the 50-50 balls, and he was satisfied with what his team did.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I'd still say that yes, we did go jump and get the ball, I thought, and we ran more down than we've been running down. I still feel like one of the other emphasis we had today was 50-50 balls, and just nothing drives me more nuts than we jar the ball loose and they end up with a dunk at the end of it. So, we hit the ball away and it's flying around in the lane, and they flew it to somebody for a dunk about 3 times, and we just got to come up with some more of those. I think we still got to win the 50-50 battle as well now.
I love that. You can just hear the passion in his voice. I just can't stand that. I can't stand when the ball's flying through the lane and they pick it up and go for a dunk. Still 50-50 balls is a big part of this series, of that game last night. It'll be a big part Sunday. I'm trying to to wonder how Sunday is going to play out. But if you are thinking about how it's going to play out, it has to start with two people for the Sixers, and that's Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. And Tyrese Maxey talked last night after the game about how the two of them kind of feed off of each other.
We just kind of play off each other. Like, even in the fourth quarter, he got mad at me a couple times because, like, he had the hot hand, so I just kind of, like, not faded, but kind of moved to the side. He was like, don't do that, man. You got to be aggressive at all times. Play your game. Don't, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how many points I have, you know, one another has. We still have to be aggressive and you know, lead. And I was just like, yeah. You know, he was scoring every single time, so it's hard. But, you know, it's a process. It's a game-to-game process, and it was good tonight.
That's pretty impressive. Like, that's like you being out golfing with a friend, Bill, right? And you're shooting the round of your life. So you would think, okay, not that last night was the game of Joel Embiid's life, but you're shooting the round of your life, and you're playing with someone over and say, like, hey, man, it's cool. Like, hang in there. This is fun. That's all. We're here to have fun. Like, Joel Embiid was having a monster game and goes over to Tyrese Maxey and says, yo, man, be aggressive. What are you doing? Don't fade away.
Yeah, Joel has really impressed me over the last few games, and it's not just what he's done on the court. It's how he's handled himself off the court. And Tyrese talked about that as well, his presence. He just talked about what he said to him towards the end of the game there. And I really liked what Joel said after game 2. And I know there were some fans who were very critical of him because he had his head down, but now we know why, because of the Bell's palsy, and he can't look directly at the light. He's having all those issues. But I just love the message he's been sending to his teammates. We're the better team. We're going to win. And he backed it up last night.
I mean, think about that. So I've had some friends. My daughter's boyfriend got Bell in their face before. Sometime, with a couple of the cases, they couldn't blink one of their eyes. Now, we saw Joe that was going wonky last week, and I was wondering, like, what is going on here? And him in the sunglasses and all. What happens is when you can't blink one of the eyes, obviously, they get dried out. And, you know, you have to have special – one guy that I know, a friend of mine from where I used to live, he had to wear a patch for like a week and a half on his eye because it just wouldn't blink. So he had to protect it not only from the light, but he had to try to keep some kind of moisture going. The fact that he went out and got 50 points game, besides the knee that he had surgically repaired 2 months ago, that he's battling with this. That's amazing. It's unbelievable. And I do feel bad for the guy. Like, all these things that just seem to nonstop happen with him once playoff time comes, it just is awful. And Embiid talked about it last night. We'll get to number one, Tom, on Joel Embiid talking about himself, the Bell's palsy, and how he's kind of looking at it right now.
I don't know exactly what happened, but obviously I guess that's a normal thing. I think he started the day or two before the Miami game, and I had, bad migraines and thought it was nothing. But usually I don't like to check it out, but for some reason I ended up, having to tell, somebody. And that's why that Miami game, it was just, my body was just, I was just not feeling it. And then obviously lately with, I don't know if, I'm sure if you Google the symptoms, you know what it is. It's pretty annoying, with, my left side of my face, my mouth, and, and my eye. It's been tough, but I'm not a quitter, so you gotta thing. It's unfortunate. That's the way I look at it, but that's not an excuse. Gotta keep pushing.
Could this be the time that the naysayers turn around on Joel Embiid? Could this happen now, Bill? He's playing such good basketball. The knee. This is unbelievable. We're just normal chumps that go to work every day. If one of us had that, God, everybody in the building would know about it because it's like, oh, it's unbelievable. This guy goes out and scores 50 in an NBA game when half of his face isn't working.
You say that, and I agree with you that is this a time for the naysayers to stop? We started the show this morning at 10 o'clock with two callers who wanted to talk negatively about Joel Embiid. I don't understand it, and I think a lot of what it comes down to, I said this to Tom after those two calls, the people who have hated on Joel, they just can't let it go. They can't see in front of they can't admit what they're watching, that you are seeing a guy who has been very unlucky. I mean, you talk about, he always gets hurt, he's soft. How's it his fault he has Bell's palsy? I mean, it's just very for the guy. But guess what? He didn't make an excuse.
No.
He tried to keep it hidden from even his teammates, so he was a distraction. And then he comes out in these 3 games, and in every single game, I felt that Joel Embiid has done enough for them to win. He needed more from his supporting cast in Game 1 and Game 2. And he got it in Game 3. Even though he put up 50 points, it was a team win last night.
Yeah, it was. And the fact that he's doing this, I guess we were still together at the arena when it came out that he's battling the Bell's palsy. And we looked at each other like, oh, are you kidding? Then I'm driving home and I'm thinking of all the, like I said, I had friends that had that happen to them. It is one of the most annoying things that I've seen friends go to. Like, you have your knee surgeries and all that. But talk about annoyance. I mean, not being able to blink an eye, not being able to control part of your mouth. And I'll say it again, he went out and scored 50. Like, this guy it's amazing, and I hope people do recognize it. And guess what? There probably is going to be a good amount of people, Bill, that won't get through it or won't stop, I don't like to say hating, but scrutinizing him unless they win a couple of playoff rounds. And then they might come around, Yeah,
and unfortunately, round 1 isn't going to be easy. We're seeing it right now. So they got to get through this one before they can win round 2. Big game on Sunday afternoon. And something we haven't talked about was the Kelly Oubre incident. And I'm seeing it reported.
Yeah.
You and we were talking last night he had a car crash on 16th and Vine around 1:45 in the morning on Tuesday not on Tuesday. Yeah, was it Tuesday?
Well, it'd be Tuesday a.m., yeah.
Yeah, because the game was Monday night.
Right.
So Tuesday around 1:45. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt. But, Kelly Oubre made a joke saying, hey, I just got to hire a driver from here on out because he's had some issues in the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, there's been some issues with cars in Kelly Oubre and this city and all. But, yeah, one of the questions I asked last night, of course, we're at the game and you think, is he okay to play? I asked somebody in the know, how about the other person? Were they okay? So apparently Oubre ran a red light and hit a car. The other person was okay. There were no reported injuries. So that's all good. His Lamborghini, I think, saw the worst of it, Bill.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Tom, when you're driving around your Lamborghini, don't be running red lights.
That's good to know.
That's Ray Dunn that has the Lamborghini.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Thank you.
You're probably right. I think he did rent a car out there, and it is a Lamborghini.
Probably took a private jet out there, actually.
Yeah. Oh, well, we know he did that. Yeah, Jeffrey Lurie lent it to him. Real quick with these Philly starters, Bill. If I wasn't on this tangent that I've been on in a couple of days of, wow, look at these numbers. Unnoticed because it's only 6 games into the baseball season. Eagles just made a draft pick last night and have more draft coming this weekend. Unnoticed because the Sixers are in Game 3 of a first-round series. Or is it just unnoticed because, this happens in baseball?
I think it's going a little unnoticed because of those things you mentioned, Sixers playoffs, Eagles draft. But it's also, we do have that football mentality in this city for all the sports, but it's only at the start of the Philly season. Like the first few games of the Philly season, we overreact to what happens, and then we kind of, not that we check out, but we're not as interested until it gets closer to September or October. So I think now people, after that start, and they weren't hitting right away, everyone starts to panic, and yeah, really, turn your attention to the Phillies right now because the pitching has been unbelievable. I mean, literally historic. I don't know when the last time they've had this type of pitching, if ever. I saw a stat last week, and this wasn't including these starts, but it was including, I think, the last 10 through, and their ERA was better than what it was when they had Halladay, Oswalt, Hamels, Cliff Lee. I mean, they're actually doing things better than those guys did, which is just remarkable.
So for those of you that didn't hear the numbers, I'll give them again. This is over the last 10 starts by your Philadelphia Phillies pitchers. Now, this is the numbers of their starting pitchers over the last 10 games. They've gone 65 and 2/3 of an inning. They've only allowed 32 hits, 5 earned runs, 18 walks, 72 strikeouts. It comes out to an ERA of .69. always a good number, but that's a really good ERA there at .69. So, yeah, you know what? I love West Coast Phillies games over a weekend.
Why is that?
9:40 tonight. Usually 9:40 on a Friday night, you're winding down and, you're just relaxing and saying, I've watched whatever I wanted to watch tonight. It's all over, bedtime, whatever. Nah, 9:40 tonight, we get to watch a baseball game. I love that. I love the late West Coast games. When I was a little kid, I used to always get in trouble if the Phillies were on the West Coast and it was a weeknight and I had the little transistor under my pillow and my dad, turn it off. Okay, turn it down. Turn it off. Turn it down. Turn it off. I love West Coast games for the Phillies. It's just, I don't know. It does. Maybe it takes me back to being a little bitty kid.
That was a long time ago, though, Bob.
Wow. There's some age
I'm surprised
that's unnecessary,
It
Bill.
really was.
Unnecessary.
Well, he said they only had radio back then. But you talk about watching games. Bob's
Remember
now-
that.
Yeah, he's going to remember. So, Bob, we're talking about games. Roger Goodell. We saw him at the NFL draft last night getting picked up by all these guys, and he just had back surgery, you mentioned. But Roger Goodell was on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, and this probably isn't news to a lot of people because we all expected that this is what the NFL wanted. But Roger Goodell admits they want to go to an 18-game regular season, 2 preseason games, 18 regular season games. They want to extend the calendar by 1 week so that the Super Bowl will land on the 3-day weekend of President's Day weekend, which a lot of people were rooting for.
Hooray! Finally came around, huh? Everybody's been only calling for that for a long, long time. How do you feel about an 18-game schedule? I remember talking to John Runyon about it at a golf outing about a year or so ago. And he's like, are you kidding me? Because Runyon used to, I don't know if I ever told you this story. We used to do Daily News Live, and Runyon was a Wednesday guest all the time. And for some reason, my schedule linked up that I was usually on with Runyon. There was one season where he came in, he could not sit down to do the segment. It was like a 20-minute segment. He couldn't sit down until the camera went on, and then he sat down and just was in agonizing pain. And then if we went to commercials, stand up again. And then there he was every Sunday. I asked him about it, asked Trey Thomas about it also, and those guys are like, they're going to kill us.
Yeah, 17. For the teams. But my bigger concern, and not that injuries to the players isn't a concern, because I agree with you, that's a lot of games to ask these guys to play. My bigger concern is that you take the NFL, which is so great because every game matters, and the more you extend the regular season, the less games matter. It's the NBA had to implement the NBA Cup because the regular season games don't matter. So they tried to create a ridiculous champion of the season so that people cared about regular season games. We just talked about, are people not paying attention to baseball? Yeah, you're probably right, because there's too many regular season games. Don't do this to the NFL. The reason why your product is so damn good is because 1 week we're going to the Super Bowl, and the next week we want the coach fired because every game matters.
All right, I'm going to make you the god of sports right now, okay? Give me how many games you would make a Major League Baseball season.
So the problem is, I know it's all about revenue, but could you imagine if they cut it in half, how competitive it would be?
Ooh, half. 81-game season for baseball?
I would cut all the seasons in half outside of football. So you take hockey, you cut that in half to 41 games. Basketball, cut that in half to 41 games. To 81 games. Done.
I always had it, baseball, 125. I had a hockey and basketball 65. And football, I always toyed in my mind whether to go back to 14 or 16. I guess I'd go to 16. It was 14, I guess, a long time ago. I think before I was born, before it jumped to 16. But, yeah, the seasons. What about you, Tom? You ever think about, like, what you would cut seasons from?
Yeah, I think baseball, needs to be shorter. As much as I love baseball, it's way too long, and that's obvious. I was going to say, like, 130, 135. I'd be fine with 125. Football, it's obvious the NFL doesn't care about the players. They can say as much as they want to say. It's obvious the main objective of them is making money. So 18 games to me with the 2 buys, I think is the best scenario there. Hockey, I kind of like where hockey is. I'm fine with them staying at 82 as long as the players don't hate it. basketball with load management and the way that players seem to be taking off more and more games, I think you have to go to like 7. So shorten most of them. NFL go a couple games longer, like I said, to 18, and then hockey can stay the same as long as they're cool with it.
Okay. But, well, no, it's not going to change, but, hey, we can put in our 2 cents. That's all that matters.
Maybe one day.
Listen, when we get back, we're going to hit some more of the texts that you sent us. We have some Sixers. The Eagles, their pick last night, what they may be doing moving forward. We hit on it a little bit earlier. Those of you that didn't hear it, I'm going to have Bill lay it out again, what he thinks may happen this weekend with your Philadelphia Eagles. Bill Colarulo's here with us all day long. Closing time, 2 o'clock before the best show ever. Tyrone, Ricky, and Jen. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Busy night in Philly. I'm Tom Alvord, and this update is brought to you by Wendy's. Try Wendy's new Cinnabon Pull Apart. Wendy's new Cinnabon Pull Apart is here to satisfy your sweet morning cravings. Get your day off to a sweet start with Cinnabon Pull Apart only at participating Wendy's. Yes, the Sixers picked up a huge Game 3 victory over the Knicks last night. Embiid dominated as he had a playoff career-high 50 points with 8 rebounds and 5 three-pointers. Campaign was a spark off the bench, picking up 11 points after not scoring a single point in the first 2 games of the series. Sixers look even up the series Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. Tip-off is at 1 o'clock. The Birds selected Toledo cornerback Quinyon Mitchell with the 22nd overall pick in the first round last night. Mitchell played all 4 years at Toledo and did not allow a single touchdown or commit a single penalty in over 400 snaps last season. Wasn't the only move for Howie, as the Eagles and A.J. Brown agreed on a 3-year
.com.
Welcome back. 1:30 here at the Fanatic. So glad that you joined us today. And thanks for being with us all day. Thanks to our YouTube audience, who we love and adore. It's always good to hear from them, see them when we're out. That's always cool. Bill, I'm going to give you 3 numbers. You have to tell me what they mean. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
81, 89, 84.
81.
Tom, I'll even let you jump in on this, buddy. 81, 89, 84.
Can you give me a hint? Which sport are we talking about?
No sport. That's the weather temperatures for Sunday,
beautiful.
Monday, and Tuesday. 81, 89, 84. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So we got the warm weather is coming at us. I'll tell you, I like nothing better. Like last night walking into the arena, I don't know how many times in my life, in my professional life, walking into arena where it's like 10 degrees, dark out at 4:30 in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Door walking into an arena with just a shirt on and playoff basketball or hockey, whatever, about to be played, and it's still light outside, and there's still plenty of light that's going to be there.
Yeah,
it's like my favorite. I'm just noticing your shirt.
Little Ben Franklin in the Rocky pose?
I never saw that shirt. Have you seen that shirt before, Tom? That's pretty
I just figured
strong.
it was a Sixers shirt, but I didn't really look into it. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Ben Franklin in the Rocky pose.
That's pretty strong.
I actually bought this at the Philadelphia airport. I was going to visit my buddy in Nashville, and I saw it in one of the stores. I'm like, I like that shirt. I've seen that before.
So we got a lot of texts that we haven't gotten to yet, Tom, that you said people are talking about the Sixers, talking about the Phillies, so why don't we go to them right now?
Yeah, we'll start with the Sixers. This is Ralph from Jugville. I feel that Maxey has to take over the game a bit more. He's a hell of a player, but didn't score in the last 10 minutes of Game 3. Luckily, we had other players stepping up, Embiid, of course, but Embiid and Maxey have to do more work as 1A, 1B. I don't see Maxey stepping up late enough late in games. This is his time to take over.
See, here's where I disagree with that, though, Bob. We have such short memories in this city. What did he do in Game 2, Tyrese? He hit that big 3. I mean, outside of that crazy meltdown with under 30 seconds where we let them score 8 points in the last 27 seconds, we'd be talking about how Maxey came up in a big way, not feeling well, was questionable for Game 2. We have short memories here.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'll be honest. Total honesty here. I didn't notice that Tyrese Maxey didn't score in the last 10 minutes last night. I didn't. Now it's a frenzied ending, and you got Joel Embiid doing what he did. I didn't notice that. Like, it happened. I don't think I wasn't watching the game right. Sometimes you notice, and sometimes you don't. I didn't notice that last night, but I love it that they talked about. Tyrese Maxey even said that Joel went over to him in the last part of the game and said, "You got to start being more aggressive, man. Don't back off." So that's pretty cool.
I'll give you an Eagles. Got a Phil's one as well. This is
for those you didn't hear. Things may happen. I think everybody in this city would like to see a offensive line. So what's our Phillies one, Tom?
Phillies one in Jacksonville. On the Phillies, I love how Turnbull. They also acknowledge the plan that was already in place for when Walker comes back. But I feel like we are rewarding a guy to the bench who has been legitimately if it's been talked about, but why not try out a 6-man rotation? Your guys' thoughts?
Well, I'll start, Bill. I don't think that Wheeler wants to be a 6-man rotation. I think Wheeler, and I think I've heard him say this before to reporters, that he wants to go every 5 days. He doesn't like the extra day of rest. You do something like this, I would assume the first guy you go and ask if they're okay with it is your ace. And in Aaron Nolan, you have guys that don't miss time. So I don't think they would want to change anything.
Yeah, I'm right along with you. I mean,
Okay.
as much as I like what we've got from Spencer Turnbull, and I'd love to see him somehow be a part of the rotation, I don't want it to be a 6-man rotation because you get less outings from Wheeler and Nola and Ranger Suarez, who are just so dominant right now.
Yeah, it is so much fun watching the starting pitching for the continues. 9:40 out in San Diego. Aaron Nola is going to take the mound tonight. We talked about how hot this starting pitching group has been. Last 10 games, a .69 ERA. All right, one of the texts was talking about the Eagles, Bill. I asked you earlier, and I just want you to reiterate for maybe some people that weren't with us at the time. Today, 53. If they stand pat, they did exactly what you wanted. You said it yesterday. You don't want to trade that 22 pick because mess with not having 3 picks in the top 53. Should they stay there, 50 and 53, what are you expecting?
I guess it depends on how the draft board goes the rest of the way tonight. And if the player that they want, if it starts to slide a little bit, maybe they move up. But assuming they stay at 50 and 53, I don't want to see them go offensive line. As much as I wanted to see them go offensive line in round 1, that was because I didn't expect one of these top corners to fall as much as they did. And I thought the Eagles could get a really good lineman in the first round at 22 that could have the potential to play tackle in this league. I'm not sure you're getting that in round 2. I'd much rather see them draft some offensive linemen later on, maybe the 4th and 5th round, that can develop under Stoutland University. So where I'm going, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, is I am taking that linebacker. Hopefully Junior Colson or Edgerrin Cooper falls to them at 50. But at 53, I think they have to go tight end. We know Dallas Goedert is older than Zach Ertz was when they drafted Dallas. Dallas Goedert is older than Zach Ertz was, Brent Ellick was when they drafted Zach Ertz. And they've had success taking tight ends in the second round. Both Ertz and Goddard were second-round drafts. I'm going Jatavian Sanders out of Texas. I think this guy has a lot of potential. He's raw, but he's extremely athletic. He is a catching threat, and it'd be nice for him to learn under Dallas. Go with that 12 personnel season. They didn't have that other threat. Jack Stoll was not another threat in the passing game. With Jatavian Sanders, you would have that. Now, whether or not they need it, they did bring in C.J. Umaza, or I always pronounce his name wrong. How do you pronounce it, Tom?
I think it's Azuma.
Azuma. Always pronounce his name wrong. And they also still have Albert O that they signed last year from Denver and then re-signed them, who didn't play much. But I still think that's a need, so I'd like to see them go linebacker, tight end in the second round.
What part of the draft do you start looking at and going, all right, man, I'll look at the names after they're announced later on? I'm not. Are you just like, here, there it is, I got to watch it the whole time? Because I'll admit, once it gets to like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, I'm kind of like, yeah, you know what, I'll look that up later and see where this guy went to school.
5th round, yeah. 5th round, I'm out.
Yeah, unless you're Andrew DeCecco, who knows every single one of these prospects. You know, I'm right there with you where, you know, they'll throw out a name and then I'll go and I'll look and read about them and maybe watch a little highlights on them. But, I mean, look, we talk about how much of a crapshoot the draft is, and that's the first round. I mean, when you're in the 5th, 6th, and 7th round, who knows if these guys are going to project to be good NFL players. But this is really where good teams can find those diamonds in the rough. None bigger than the guy who announced the first-round pick for the Eagles last night, Jordan Mailata from Australia. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. So if they go with the tight end at 53, like you said, that's a skill position, as we all know. I don't think they really need any wide receivers.
Look,
they go slot guy.
They do need a wide receiver, I believe. I mean, they did sign Paris Campbell. They did sign Devontae Parker to one-year deals. I don't expect them to necessarily be the answer at wide receiver 3. We talked about it last year. A lot of people, including myself, wanted to see them upgrade that position before the season and not rely on Quez Watkins. Well, they did rely on Quez Watkins. He couldn't perform. Olamide Zaccheaus, local kid from St. Joe's Prep, did what he could when he was in there, but they realized we need to upgrade. They signed Julio Jones later in the season, but he's not the same guy he was. So they do need to upgrade that third wide receiver position, but I think they may be looking at it as, look, we got Saquon Barkley now. He's another weapon. If we do draft a tight end, that's also another weapon that maybe we can get by with a Paris Campbell or a Devontae Parker. But I do expect them to draft a wide receiver at some point over the next 2 days.
All right, you brought up Saquon Barkley. After Saquon Barkley on this roster, it gets a little bit thin. Gainwell's still there. Do they get a running back?
They may. They may draft another running back. He's very active with the undrafted rookie free agents. So don't be surprised if they go that route as well. And they've had some success. Reed Blankenship, undrafted rookie free agent. TJ Edwards, who I wish was still here, was an undrafted rookie free agent. So you could still find players in that pool as well. I mean, the draft used to be how many rounds? Like 12 rounds or something. Now they shortened it to only 7 rounds. I mean, Seth Joyner would have been an undrafted rookie free agent.
How about that? That's wild, isn't it? Unbelievable. Okay, when we get back, we're going to put a wrap on this show today, get you ready for the weekend, and it's going to be a busy one. As I said, you have the Phillies on the West Coast in San Diego tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday. You have the Sixers, Knicks going Game 2, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Now, we have a lot of stuff going on here at the station. Sunday, Bill, you and Tyrone are going to be where?
We're going to be down at the Dover racetrack for the NASCAR events. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be there from 8 to 11. We'll be the Eagles, the Sixers, and we'll be bringing you up to 11 o'clock when we turn things over to an all-star cast.
Yeah, who's that?
Bob Cooney, D. Lynam, and Pat Egan will be live from the
is it Egan's?
Center.
Okay. There too. Okay. Yeah, so we'll be doing that. We'll do pregame down there, same place right near the Bet Rivers Lounge, section 106, 107. We'll be down there on Sunday. Also, from around 11:15, I'm going to be stopping over at Xfinity Live. And there's going to be a Sixers alum coming around, and you can win tickets to some things and all that stuff. So if you want to get the day started early, I'll be down there at Xfinity from 10 to like 11:15, because then I got to run over to the arena to do pregame show. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff going on over there. So it's going to be a great weekend. We're going to have more of your draft coverage tonight, right? We're going to
97.5 all weekend long.
That sounds good.
A ton of Cooney and D. Lynam. We have all that stuff going on Sunday. Just leave us on all week.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you got to do. And you get your Sixers game here on Sunday at 1 o'clock also. Okay, it's almost closing time for us, almost 2 o'clock. When we get back, we're going to wrap this thing up, and then you get the best show ever. Tyrone, Ricky, and Jen are in the house getting ready to go. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Sunday, NASCAR's in Delaware for the Worth 400 Cup race. Tyrone Johnson and Bill Colarulo broadcast live from Dover Motor Speedway from 8 to 11 to preview the big 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at renofi.com/notices. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Play stopped, opt out.
John, I'm putting my foot down. We can't put off renovating this house any longer. Our kitchen is so small. We need to finish the basement for the kids, and don't even get me started on